This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning. Good morning. An appeal to the UN. Abigail Shantytown residents seek help against demolitions as the UN says the detention center visit was constructive. And more on what might be proposed as the government fine-tunes the marijuana bill. It's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
It's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's here. It's the start of the end of the old way. Revolution. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good. Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Monday, May 31st, 2021. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Pamela Musgrove will be joining us. Also this morning in Morning Blend Business, we're going to be talking with Arawak XM Dollars, their crowdfunding initiative. They're going to tell us all about their work. That's coming up. But first, it's time for the overnight, the latest breaking news from while we're sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, Abaco shantytown residents are calling on the United Nations to intervene and ask the government to stop its senseless, heartless, and illegal, their words, demolition of shantytowns across the Bahamas, noting that up to 1,000 people will be displaced as a result of continued action. A letter from displaced victims of Hurricane Dorian on Abaco, dated May 29th, was reportedly given to members of a UN delegation during a tour of shantytowns on Abaco on Saturday. Residents thanking the UN for visiting the area. That letter stating, quote, "We are extremely glad that you are able to witness firsthand the treatment and conditions we have suffered ever since being made homeless by the storm in September 2019. After losing everything, we tried to reestablish our homes and lives, many of us having lived there lawfully for decades. However, we were intentionally targeted and subjected to systematic persecution at the hands of the Bahamas authorities. Following the storm in February 2020, all remaining structures in our communities, including those that had been spared extensive damage, were fenced in to block access by residents, then summarily and arbitrarily demolished, and the remains, including all of our personal property, were disposed of against our will. Many lost all of their savings, belongings, travel, and other documents as a result. Some have no way of proving their identity and may be rendered stateless. Since then, a number of families have sought to rebuild." Well, 45 incomplete and unoccupied structures in the farm, shantytown, and Treasure Key, Abaco, were demolished on April 22nd. Another 10 were demolished on May 14th and 15th. The residents claiming that the latter demolition rendered 40 people homeless, including 10 children. Meanwhile, Minister of Public Works, Desmond Bannister, has said that plans are in place to begin a similar exercise in New Providence very soon. Earlier this month, a group of UN human rights experts called on the government to halt further demolitions. The planned forced evictions and demolitions, according to the letter sent to the UN, constitute a serious violation of the human right to adequate housing and will result in arbitrary internal displacement. A tour of the Carmichael Road Detention Center by a delegation from the UN, extremely constructive, according to UN resident coordinator for Jamaica, Bahamas, Bermuda, Turks and Caicos, and the Cayman Islands, Dr. Gary Conneal. The media invited to tour but not permitted to enter the facility on Friday. Speaking to reporters outside the detention center's gate, Dr. Conneal, noting that the tour was extremely constructive, he said, quote, "It allowed us to discuss with the government possible areas where we can help improve because, as you understand, this is an ongoing process and it certainly will be part of continued discussions." House Speaker Halson Moultrie has launched an independent bid for re-election in Nassau Village. A flyer announcing the launch of his campaign notes that Moultrie would like to see the current breach of the Westminster model of government resolved and thereby make Cabinet accountable and transparent for their stewardship of the taxpayers' money and people's assets. According to the document, from the beginning, Moultrie has raised concerns that the legislative branch of government was constrained in fulfilling its constitutional oversight of the executive branch by reason of not being autonomous and independent. One of his re-election pamphlets notes that the campaign will be not ordinary in any way. He says his campaign is a blow for democracy and self-determination by Bahamian people. And a woman denied defaming Cabinet Minister Frankie Campbell in a WhatsApp voice note. 49-year-old Caprio Saunders of South Beach appearing before Magistrate Samuel McKinney on a charge of intentional libel over a viral voice note. Prosecutors allege that Saunders made the recording in April 2021 with the intent to defame the minister when she accused him of impregnating the daughter of his alleged sweetheart. Saunders pleaded not guilty to the charge that carries a possibility of a maximum sentence of 2 years imprisonment. For his part, Campbell has denied the, quote, repugnant claim in the House of Assembly already. The magistrate granted Saunders $3,500 bail ahead of her July 5th trial. However, he warned Saunders that her bail could be revoked if she made any further commentary about Campbell or the case. Overseas, China's ruling Communist Party saying today it'll ease birth limits to allow couples to have 3 children instead of 2 in hopes of slowing the rapid aging of its population, which is adding to strains on the economy and society. The ruling party has enforced birth limits since 1980 to restrain population growth, but worries the number of working-age people is falling too fast while the share over age 65 is rising. That threatens to disrupt its ambitions to transform China into a prosperous consumer society and global technology leader. A ruling party meeting led by President Xi Jinping decided to introduce measures to actively deal with the aging population. It said leaders agreed to implementing the policy of one couple can have 3 children, and supporting measures are conducive to improving China's population structure. Leaders also agreed that China needs to raise its retirement age to keep more people in the workforce and improve pension and health services for the elderly. Restrictions that limited most couples to 1 child were eased in 2015 to allow for 2, but the total number of births fell further, suggesting rule changes on their own have little impact on the trend. In sports, the Bahamas Football Association has ratified a 19-member team for 2 upcoming FIFA 2022 World Cup qualifiers. Matches for the CONCACAF region. The 2 matches are set for this week, Wednesday and Saturday. On Wednesday, Team Bahamas will travel to Puerto Rico. That match gets underway at 6 p.m. They'll return home to host Trinidad and Tobago on Saturday, right here in Nassau at the Thomas A. Robinson National Stadium. That match is scheduled for 5 p.m. Read more about it in today's Guardian Sports section. And overseas from the NBA, the Suns beating the Lakers, evening their series at 192 last night. And the Clippers beating the Mavs 106 to 181, also evening their series. The Hawks get a win over the Knicks 113-96. They have a 3-1 lead in their playoff series. That's sports, and that's the overnight. Time for your first look at weather. In your weather for today, we've got the combination of streaming tropical moisture, a stationary front just north of the extreme northwest Bahamas, along with multi-level troughing that's going to increase rain chances across portions of the country today. Elsewhere, high pressure will maintain moderate to fresh winds across the central and southeast Bahamas. Boaters should be alert for possible waterspout activity, and beachgoers in the central and southeast Bahamas should exercise caution due to the high risk of rip currents at East Coast beaches. For today, for the northwest Bahamas, we're looking at partly cloudy to cloudy and very warm conditions, humid as well, with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms through tonight. Smoke-craft operators should be alert for gusty winds and higher seas in or near heavy showers or thunderstorms across all areas. Winds easterly at 10 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 4 feet. For the central and southeast Bahamas, look for variable cloudiness, warm and breezy conditions, with a few scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms mainly across the central islands through tonight. Small-craft caution remains in effect. Winds easterly at 15 to 20 knots, seas 4 to 7 feet. Temperature-wise, right now in Nassau, it's about 79 degrees under mostly cloudy skies, 76 up in Freeport. We're looking at highs getting up to around 88 Fahrenheit, 31 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 75 Fahrenheit, 24 Celsius. That's your first look at weather this morning. We'll have your extended outlook coming up after traffic in just a bit. it is time for a break, but when we come back, we're discussing the day's top stories right here on Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9, your home for fresh news and smart talk all day.
Technology serves to make our lives better, so why not your business too? At Custom Computers, we've been maintaining our knowledge and relationships with top tech companies since 1987 and carry only the most trusted brands like Apple, Microsoft, HP, and more. No company has helped more businesses build reliable IT systems than Custom Computers. You name it, we've done it. Call 396-1101 to talk to any of our business experts. Find trust in your tech. Count on Custom Computers.
Preparing for a hurricane can make all the difference in safeguarding the lives of family, friends, and neighbors. By knowing what action you should take, you can reduce the effects of a hurricane disaster. Get all the facts of the potential of having insurance, impact-resistant windows, home emergency power, essential supplies, and a lot more before the storm. After the storm, where to purchase building or cleaning supplies, waste disposal, medical care, and more. The Nassau Guardian's Hurricane Guide will help you make sure everyone knows what to do in the event a hurricane approaches. Take advantage of this double insertion opportunity, plus 15 commercials on Star 106 hits. Contact us today at 302-2300. That's 302-2300, or your account executive. Will you be prepared?
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. 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 Wake up, wake up.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at MorningBlend969 or Facebook.com/MorningBlend969. You can also email us morningblend@nascar.com, or you can text us on the Guardian Radio text line powered by BTC 422-4796. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. Pamela Musgrove will be joining us in just a few minutes. And coming up this morning, we've got more weather and traffic. And in Morning Blend Business, we are going to be talking with Arawak X M Dollars, their crowdfunding initiative. And they're going to tell us all about this. That's coming up in Morning Blend Business at 9. But to be ahead of that, we've got a lot to get to in terms of what's in the news. Let's do that right now. And in the news, a UN detention center and a visit to the shanty towns in Abaco. A lot going on with the UN since Friday, and interesting responses to that here as well. So let's begin with what happened on Friday. Then we're going to make our way to the letter that was handed to UN officials when they visited the shanty town in Abaco. This was the farm in Abaco over the weekend. So this is what happened on Friday. For more on this tour of the Carmichael Road Detention Center by a delegation from the UN, take a listen to this report from our Jared Higgs.
Neither cameras nor reporters were allowed inside the detention center on Friday as UN officials toured the facility. They were led by officer in charge of the detention center, Peter Joseph. Only Bahamas Information Services, the government's communications branch, was allowed in. Eventually, those UN reps spoke to reporters outside the gates.
We agreed that we would come and visit here today because we know this is an important issue. We would come and visit this facility and really discuss with government ways we can work together to continue to ensure that this particularly vulnerable population is always treated with dignity, has access to due process, and is, of course, handled in the context with commitments to human rights.
Human rights activists have been critical of the detention center's operations. A 2019 submission by Rights Bahamas to the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights described the facility as overcrowded, with its detainees suffering from poor nutrition and hygiene. Government described that report as overstated and inaccurate. The UN's resident coordinator for the Bahamas, Gary Canill, wouldn't say what they saw inside as he struck a diplomatic tone with media.
Now, the tour today, I think, was extremely constructive, allowed us to see the amount of effort that's been done to ensure that people are treated well with dignity. It also allows us to discuss with government possible areas where we can help improve because, of course, as you understand, this is an ongoing process.
The United Nations has been critical of the Bahamas' handling of shantytown demolitions on Abaco. In a statement released earlier this month, the UN described evictions and demolitions in the Farm Road shantytown as a serious violation of the human right to adequate housing. UN officials will visit the farm shantytown in Abaco tomorrow. Asked whether the UN supports the expansion of shantytown demolitions, Canill had this to say.
Obviously, there are a lot of things to consider. The risk to the population itself, the risk to the community. And governments in every country have to make these difficult decisions. But when we have the opportunity to have a space where we can discuss together, we're able to find solutions that are, as I said, that allow us to have the most optimal outcome for the populations under these circumstances.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jared Higgs.
Okay, so that was Friday. That's what the UN said. Constructive, extremely constructive, we're told. The Minister for Foreign Affairs, Jan Henfield, also spoke with them. For more on that, take a listen to this report. We're getting to the point where this letter was sent. We're going in order from what happened on Friday to what happened with this letter that was it snuck into them? I don't know how to say it. But anyway, we'll get to that in a bit. But here's what the Foreign Affairs Minister had to say. Giorgio Bain has more on that.
Foreign Affairs Minister and Member of Parliament for North Abaco, Darren Henfield, led United Nations Resident Coordinator to the Bahamas, Dr. Gary Consell, on a tour of the former mud and farm shanty towns on Saturday. As they entered, members of the Human Rights Bahamas group lined the entrance with placards. Some read, "From Dorian to homeless, where is your heart?" and "No shelters in Abaco, we have nowhere to go." Henfield explained that this is about saving lives.
We emphasize that this is not about migration, this is not about illegality, this is about saving lives. And we didn't have the kind of cooperation that we thought.
Henfield says the devastating impact of Hurricane Dorian led the government to prevent residents from reconstructing homes in those areas.
And when Dorian came ashore, it swept most of the containers and debris or even boats from the water side. Imagine the water coming as high as 24 feet, in some instances 19 to 20 feet, and just bringing everything south. We don't know how many lives they lost again because with an illegal migrant population, you're not going to report to any authorities that I'm getting. So we don't know how many lives we lost in here. We fenced it, cordoned it off to prevent rebuilding.
In a statement, Dr. Consell commended the Bahamas government for its management of back-to-back crises, Hurricane Dorian and the global COVID-19 pandemic. Dr. Consell also committed the Office of the UN Resident Coordinator and its country team to support and work alongside the Bahamas government to ensure that all processes to regularize migration, as well as housing and building codes, maintain the health and dignity of all populations in keeping with the Bahamian law, meeting international best practice, recognizing human rights of all persons, and upholding the Bahamas' human rights commitments.
Okay, our Giorgio Bain with that there. Pamela Musgrove joining us this morning. So we're getting to the exciting development, right? That was all, polite diplomacy there, polite diplomacy. But now, Saturday, the UN goes to visit some of the shanty towns in Abaco. And that's when a letter from displaced victims of Hurricane Dorian, dated May 29th, given to members of the UN delegation. All right, Jasper Ward writing about this in today's Nassau Guardian. And that letter saying, quote, "We are extremely glad that you are able to witness firsthand the treatment and conditions we have suffered ever since being made homeless by the storm in September 2019. After losing everything, we tried to reestablish our homes and lives, many of us having lived there lawfully for decades. However, we were intentionally targeted and subjected to systematic persecution at the hand of the Bahamas authorities. Following the storm in February 2020, all remaining structures in our communities, including those that had been spared extensive damage, were fenced in to block access by residents, then summarily and arbitrarily demolished, and the remains, including all our personal property, were disposed of against our will. Many lost all of their savings, belongings, travel, and other documents as a result. Some have no way of proving their identity and may be rendered stateless. Since then, a number of families have sought to rebuild. However, the new homes, the only shelter our families, our children could hope for under the circumstances on an island with a chronic housing shortage, have again been targeted for arbitrary demolition. The residents claim that the demolitions have continued into May, that these have, especially the most recent, have left 40 people homeless, including 10 children. They continued, quote, "If the government proceeds with its stated plan, up to 1,000 persons will be displaced in further demolition exercises. Among them will be hundreds of children and many with disabilities who will suffer severely if deprived of shelter. In these demolition exercises, we have not been afforded due process as mandated by Bahamas law. Rather, we were collectively accused of various violations of construction regulations without regard to the individual merits of each case. Furthermore, in public statements, senior officials sought to conflate the home destructions with the issue of undocumented migration. Even though the vast majority of members of our communities are citizens of the Bahamas or have some form of legal status, we believe these to have been tactics aimed at inciting and inflaming public opinion against us. We feel that we have been specifically targeted because many of our people in our communities are of Haitian ethnic background. After all, the construction violations and other breaches, which the authorities have alleged but not proven against us, exist in abundance in ethnic Bahamian traditional communities as well. However, the latter are not targeted for demolition." Okay, we've heard that talk before, so we can tell who's behind this letter. Anyway, let's get that mic there.
Who probably crafted the letter.
Right? Sounds like they had it. Anyway, okay, so now we've heard this before. The Minister of Public Works has said that plans are in place to demolish these similar type residents in New Providence as well. And earlier this month, a group of UN human rights experts called on the government to halt further demolitions. It said that the planned forced evictions and demolitions constitute a serious violation of the human right to adequate housing and will result in arbitrary internal displacement. To make things worse, this is scheduled to occur during the COVID-19 pandemic, threatening to expose an already vulnerable minority to all kinds of risks for their health and safety. Most of these people have nowhere else to go, if their homes are destroyed. I believe this is from the UN, right? Yeah. If their homes are destroyed, they are at serious risk of falling into homelessness and extreme poverty. Now, in their letter, the residents say that their communities have been the target of clear-cut discrimination at the hands of the government, which has previewed their intent to demolish hundreds of more homes and ordered us to find alternative housing. They say, quote, however, our plight has been compounded by discrimination on the part of Bahamian landlords who refuse to rent to us. Okay, this is, have you heard that before? You've heard that before, Pat? Bahamian landlords refuse to rent? Yeah? Okay. They go on, quote, we have been targeted, stigmatized, and marginalized and pushed into a corner. There's nowhere else for us to go. We live in constant fear that the authorities will return any day with their machine guns and bulldozers and force our families into the bush. The government's actions have caused an especially hard impact on the children who were terrified by the demolitions and distraught over being without shelter. In addition, their online schooling has been interrupted. Interrupted by arbitrary loss of their homes and belongings, including electronic schooling devices. The displaced victims of Hurricane Dorian and Abaco hereby ask that your delegation do everything in its power to raise awareness of our urgent plight on the international stage. We are in desperate need of any assistance that may be available. In particular, we ask that you intervene with the government of the Bahamas and ask that they stop this senseless, heartless, and illegal action that is being driven by xenophobia and discrimination. As you know, the Bahamas has committed to the implementation of the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the cornerstone of which is leave no one behind. Okay. And so there we go. And in the newspaper today, you will see that when those UN officials arrived, they were met with lots of children, many little children holding placards and looking very sad. And let's see if we can read some of these. Women and children disabled, now homeless. That's what one placard said. These are all made out of cardboard. We lost everything in Hurricane Dorian. Now we need help, please. Another one, we are the Hurricane Dorian victims. My goodness. We need help, please. Abaco have a housing, is that crisis? We are homeless. Oh, boy. And so lots of those type signs. And
this is one of the strategies that they use in the U.S. with the border. They send the children because if you use the children, then they felt it will appeal to officials. I guess it depends on which party was in power at the time. It would appeal to the officials, and then the children would have to stay, and either the parents stay with them or they stay, and then down the road they can bring their parents over. So this is a strategy that's used with our neighbors next door, with persons who are fleeing their country for what they claim to be a better life.
Wow. Okay, let's get your views on this, folks. What do we make of this? Boy, tell us what you think. Give us a call, 323-6232. 325-4316, 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. Let's hear what you have to say about this. Quite a few of your text messages coming in. Let's read those. This person's asking here, I know, okay, this is something not related to this. I noticed that the word "the" is now eliminated from our comments when it comes to country. Can anyone explain this?
I think
this all started after the pandemic.
That caller has that texter, has a real issue, because I think this has been coming up over and over. They have a real issue with removing when they say in country or in the country.
I honestly don't understand it either, right? I noticed the health officials did it, and it's spreading.
But
It's not a big deal, though,
no,
is
it's
it?
not, because customs and culture develop over time.
But I wish they
Right?
knew. I wish they knew. But I was thinking about it. I noticed that we in media have never said in the studio. We always say joining us live in studio, right? In studio,
Right.
in studio. Never in the studio. So maybe that's, I don't know if that's,
I don't think they should
can't
take
tell
it
you
too
why.
seriously. They
But
shouldn't
yeah,
take it
there are
too
bigger
seriously.
problems to be concerned about.
It's just a custom that has been formed as a result of the pandemic that really came out. Like you mentioned, you always use in studio.
Yeah.
But no one ever thought took
Don't know
thought
why.
of that, But yeah, I mean,
Don't know why. But I advise most people, unless you are a medical practitioner or something, or speaking officially on something, don't say in country. Say in the country, right? It's happening in the country.
so
But
how
don't
many
know.
how many doses do we have in country, Dwight? How many doses do we have in country?
Right. So when you're speaking in terms of
I'm
that,
not a
say in
medical
country.
professional.
Oh, you mean like that? Okay. I have no idea, but I'm sure we have bigger issues.
We
bigger
like to
issues.
take shortcuts. That's why we have our dialect. The dialect because we want to take a shortcut.
I suspect it's not just us, though. I don't think that's a
No,
thing.
I don't
Yeah.
think so. I don't
Right.
think you should take it too seriously
Yeah,
either.
right. Now, they also ask, do human rights activists ever visit Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti detention centers? I don't know. If those people there feel that there is a violation, then maybe they do. I don't know, but does it matter?
I think this is an opportunity because the last survey that was done, and I know a lot of people really didn't have any confidence in the survey. It said that most of the people in these shanty towns are Bahamians and work permit holders. I think we need to sort that out because they're saying that they live here legally. If they are legally, they're either Bahamians or they are permanent residents. Right? And I'm not sure if those persons have their permanent resident status. And if they're on work permit, then that has to be renewed on an annual basis. I support the government in its demolition process because we cannot have those structures given after what we have faced with Hurricane Dorian. Right? And if these persons are here legally, and I guess even if they're not legally, then they need to seek the services provided by social services. They need to go
Right, exactly.
and seek those services.
Their avenues. And as I've said before, I don't mean to be heartless, but if your life on an island, a certain island, is not working out, if things are so challenging, you might need to try living on another island, right? Try to seek moving. We've got many options.
We do have
If you are here legally, it shouldn't be a problem at all.
No, we do have a housing crisis.
Especially in Abaco.
We do have a housing crisis
All over,
across here.
yep.
And it's not the job of government to give us housing free, but to provide access to it. So that is a problem. But if you are having hardship because you don't have the structure where you live or the adequate structure where you live, you have to seek the services of social services and, like you say, move to another island where it can be better for you until this problem of having access to, because even with access to housing, you still need the funds to be able to pay the rent or the mortgage if government were to even have a development in that area.
Yeah. Here's a text. Good morning. Can you please tell me how come people who are illegal can come into a country, build on land that Bahamians have to pay for with no bathroom and have rights? They don't have any rights to do what they want to do in this country. Well, as they say, and as our officials have told us, many, if not most of them, are here legally and do have the right to be here. But of course, you're right. They don't have the right to build anywhere and without the proper structures in place, right? So that is very challenging. And this is why the government is intent on demolishing these structures.
Yeah, I just think you need to deal with it once and for all. Check the status, and if persons are supposed to be here, then that's good. And if they're not, make plans to deal with that problem. Because if we don't, we're going to continuously have this. And I think going forward, if you are on work permit, you should give the Labor Department proof that you have accommodation.
Yeah.
Proof that you have accommodation. That's a lease for a year, because your work permit is for a year. That should be added to. We have to begin to add stuff or process in place to deal with the problems that we have. So if you're here, if you're on work permit, you need to show proof that you have living accommodations for a year. And every time you renew it, you have to show proof that you have a living accommodations in order to prevent stuff like this from happening.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, this text here, I'm not going to read it because it's offensive and silly, actually. But this person is tell the UN to, the thing that we like to tell people that we don't like to do. And then they're making some nonsense about the name of somebody at the detention center. Please stop. And if these were Bahamians who were held or locked up abroad somewhere, you would be crying out every day for the UN to do something about it. So just put yourself in other people's shoes, right? The UN, this body, is concerned about human rights, and they are well within their right to demand that we are treating people humanely, right? So let's not do that. Come on now. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Pam. How you doing?
Good morning. Good, thanks. Good morning.
One of my best Bahamas. Dwight, let me give you a little history. Pam, do you know anything about the contract?
I heard about it. I think distant family members went into the U.S. to work on the contract.
Yes. My daddy, my uncles, my grandfather, all of them went the right way. They had housing. They were protected by the United States government. They had medical, and everything was properly. And when time was up, they could go back every year like that, and they did it the right way. Now, these people, we are very, very passive. Country in the world did more for us than the Bahamas did for the Asian people. I remember a time ago, our government used to give them $100 American to go back home and all. But our country is corrupt. Our people, the laws on the books, we need to put people in there with clean hands. Who's doing the job? And they all agree to twice and know if you want to your home, know who owns this land. And this is why when they're trying to put this land registration thing online so people know who owns this land. See, what we need to start doing now, we need to start taking this land back from the people now. And give it to the people now. The government needs to continue building houses and apartments for our people. Your family, like you say, not for free, but can you pay your rent? Those government unit apartments were designed for people, young people to live there for 6 months a year and then move on and get a affordable home. But you got generations of family living in these places for years. People need to fix the country for being the full. Get the United Nations here, fine. We need $5 billion then. So we can build a house and put in infrastructure. We taking care of people, we educating people, and we feeding them. What about the thousands of baby people? Our people who are tired of these things. We need to stand up and be strong in this country, man. And sometimes these outside forces, we just avoid them, man. And thanks for taking my call, my brother.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, see, most of the land is crown land, And what happens is, and I think that the challenge is, like, we have leaders who give away crown land like candy. Just give it away at your whim. And so what happens is a lot of these crown land were given to Bahamians to farm on. Say, okay, you take that plot and you farm on it. And then they maybe farm for a few years and then they allow it to stop and then they rent it out to persons to create shanty towns. And that's why you don't hear a lot about the owners of these properties. A lot of these are crown land, leased in some cases to Bahamians to farm on.
Farmland.
And they turn them into a shanty town and that's why they're not dealing with it.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's been so challenging. And this is why they're
No, it doesn't have to be challenging.
It doesn't have to be, no.
Because you could take it back.
They could.
You could take it back.
And this is why they are demolishing this property, right? It's more challenging when it's private land, much more.
Yeah, but even with that, with private land, you go after the landowners.
Yeah.
That their property is being used incorrectly.
Yep. This person again, who was telling the UN to go, where? Does the UN help us when children are being molested from adults and older people are being killed by criminals? They need to say something then. I mean, come on now.
I don't think we have to attack the UN. We have some serious issues in the country, and I think we need to look to solving the problems. So this is a crisis that we have. How do we begin to solve this problem? And I think what happens is we kick the can down the road. So we are going after the building. It's not structurally sound, and I agree. You shouldn't have people residing in it. But then there's another problem that is attached to this. There are persons who are probably here, who are here not legally. What are you going to do? Are you going to ignore it because it seems challenging to deal with? Or are you going to just to begin to either regularize them or send them back to their home country?
And it's a simple thing to remember. Don't allow things to get to the point where the world has to start commenting on it.
Yeah.
right? Address all the issues before the world has to say, whoa, they got this big problem in the Bahamas. So whether it is murder or whatever type of crime or dealing with migrants, deal with it immediately and don't let it get so bad that people have to start making reports on you and coming to send folks down to visit and see what's happening here. And I'm sure there are reports from the UN on the crime levels in the Bahamas. There have been many of them. So, yeah, they do talk about all these things. But what do you get upset about that for? We have a problem. We have many problems here. We need to deal with them. How are we going to deal with them? That's the big issue. Let's take this call, and we've got to take a break. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, guys. How are you this morning?
Doing
Good
well.
morning.
Good morning.
Okay, Palm, I disagree with you. One portion of what you spoke about the Crown land, because I think we need more Bahamians to obtain Crown land from the government, but it got to be used for the right purposes. You're correct on some of the Crown land being used housing these people. But what's the problem? Why didn't they start at prosecuting those owners who have the rights to the Crown land first? Okay, if they had started that way, I think it would have been more proper. Because why I'm saying that? Because if they prosecute the owners, the ones who obtained the rights to have Crown land and have these people staying on the Crown land. But like you said before, you got to remember this government did a study on those Shantytown and Abaco and stated that 80% of the persons are either regularized or Bahamians, okay, which they mean they probably have Bahamian status. And I think what they should have done is follow the court process, although those homes were built after that order was handed down. Follow that process of the court ruling, whatever the court ruling might have been a few weeks ago or supposed to have been, but got put off. And then they had more rights, human rights, wouldn't have came in and created found what they found, because at least you have the court on your side stating that according to our laws. You see what I'm saying to you, Dwight?
Yes.
Because what are you doing? I keep saying they're shooting themselves in the foot. They're putting the cart before the horse. It's good what Bannister is trying to do, but I think it's the wrong timing, because we're now in the hurricane season, actually almost in the hurricane season, and Abaco hasn't been rebuilt as yet. Let me ask you all a quick question. Who allowed those persons to return back to Abaco knowing that there were no housing there in Abaco after the hurricane? You remember when the Hames was saying, don't allow those persons to return back to Abaco at this time because there is no housing and they're going to rebuild those shanty towns? You remember when that talk was going on? But they still allowed them to return on the mail boats and on the airlines. So, government still is at fault. Okay, I'm not trying to just blame the F&M government. I'm speaking about government in general, because that should have never happened.
Well, if you are Bahamian, how are you going to stop me from going to?
I understand, but if there is no housing, I'm just as bad as you allowing you to go back to somewhere that you don't have anywhere to stay. Okay? You don't have no money. You don't have any job. There was no job. There wasn't even a food store open at the time. You remember most of those places were housed on Wolf Road in the old Bahamas Academy School. You remember that, right?
You can't stop a Bahamian from traveling.
I understand that, but if it is a natural disaster, you could. Okay?
You sure?
Yeah, but after the aftermath.
How is it the government can stop us from moving about the way we want to move about? And they said because of the natural disaster, because of the pandemic.
It's an emergency order.
What's the difference?
It's an emergency order, in effect. That does a lot of
things.
Yeah,
exactly.
It
so
wasn't
I'm saying
an emergency order before.
Is the emergency order been relaxed for those persons?
This is before that now. Don't mix things up.
It is before that, but they didn't move right away. They moved when the pandemic came, is when most of those persons were just before the pandemic, most of the persons returned back to Abaco.
Which one is it? Just before or during? Because it was just before.
Just before the pandemic. Most of the persons were allowed to return back to Abaco, because I've seen them on the mail boats. I've seen them going on their line.
Because you can't stop the Bahamians from going around where they want to go.
I understand that, but all right. What the government's going to do now, when they said 80% of those persons are Bahamians, what are they going to do now? You're going to abandon your own people? That's what I'm saying. That's why I made that point to get directly back to this point.
Do we need identification to travel on the mailboat?
Exactly. That's exactly. Now, Pamela, you hit the nail on the head. What they should have done is make every citizen in the Bahamas have an ID at all times. Once you're 18 and over, you have to travel with an ID. Okay,
no, but I'm just
then
asking
you'll have some idea of who is legal or who's not legal. Because if you have status, you should have a government ID, right or wrong.
No, I'm asking, do you need an ID to travel on the mailboat?
I don't think you need an ID to travel on the mailboat, but
if
it
you don't
should come
need
to
an
that point now.
ID, then anybody can travel on the mailboat to
Yes,
go anywhere.
yes, ma'am. Anybody can travel, but they shouldn't have been allowed to go back to a place that is still reaping the benefit of a natural disaster.
Yeah, you can't say that though. They might be going back to build their homes. You want people to show
Well,
you your bank
let me
account,
ask you
show us
a question,
how much
right?
money
If
you
they're
have.
going back to build their homes, if there is no business open at the time, how would they want to be able to build their homes if there were no business? You forget when after the hurricane there were so many lootings that they had to send reinforcement of defense.
You're looking at an even bigger discrimination issue here now. When you look at people and just say, I can see that you're only going back there to cause trouble, whereas, oh yeah, you look like you have money. How are you going to determine who has the money to build and who doesn't?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
are you
saying? But I'm saying to you, Abaco is still in a disaster state, even up to the date. Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
that's my point. I'm trying to get to you guys. Okay.
Are you saying that Bahamians and undocumented or only undocumented should not have been allowed to go back to Abaco?
Madam, what I'm saying, persons that would have been allowed to go back to Abaco at that particular time after the hurricane should have had some sort of a way to prove that they would be able to get some assistance to rebuild. Because remember, there were no hardware stores in Abaco.
That is something beyond the reach of the scope of anybody, any government. And
I
in a normal time.
understand what
I
you're
don't
saying,
think you
but
have
you're
the right
still
to ask
missing the
people.
point what I'm trying
No,
to
we
say
get
to
what
you
you're
guys.
saying, but that's extreme
Abaco
discrimination. You
is
can't
still
do
in a
that.
disaster state to date.
Yeah.
Okay? So how is
If I'm
these
from
persons
there,
surviving?
if I'm from there, whether I have a bunch of money or not, if I want to go back to my home, that's my right to do
Well,
it.
that's your right.
Yeah,
okay,
it
so
is.
you're hitting the nail on the head. So now you're saying most of those persons are actually have Bahamian status.
Well, that's what they're saying. That's what they are saying, right?
Huh?
And that's what the government has said as well.
Okay, right. So we on the same page when it comes to that then. Okay, thank you.
I don't know if we are, but okay. All right. I don't know what that was. Okay. Let's take a break. Let's take the break, and we'll be back. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Stay with us.
Through the darkness, guided by a beating heart, I can't tell where the journey will end, but I know where to start. They tell me I'm too young to understand. They say I'm caught up in a dream. Life will pass me by if I don't open up my eyes. Well, that's fine by me. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself, and I didn't know I was lost. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself, and I didn't know I was lost.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
This is AP News. I'm Rita Foley.
The Commander-in-Chief is remembering the nation's fallen heroes today. President Biden will lay a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington National Cemetery. He appeared at a service at Veterans Memorial Park in Newcastle, Delaware yesterday. Here's our Shelley Adler.
He paid tribute Sunday to those lost while remembering his late son, Bo, who also was a veteran.
6 years ago today, Hunter lost his dad and I lost my son. It's the first year of his passing back in 2016. General Vavala did a great honor in inviting us to a ceremony renaming the Delaware National Guard headquarters in Bo's honor.
Biden made his annual appearance at the commemoration in Newcastle, Delaware, not far from his Wilmington home. On Monday, he plans to do the same at Arlington National Cemetery on the official observance of Memorial Day. I'm Shelley Adler.
It would have been one of the most restrictive voting bills in the nation, but it collapsed last night as Texas Democrats pulled off a dramatic last-ditch walkout in the State House of Representatives. Democrat Nicole Collier.
We've used all the tools in our toolbox to fight this bill. And tonight, we pulled out that last one.
Republican Governor Greg Abbott quickly announced he'll call a special session to finish the job of passing the bill. Johnson & Johnson is asking the Supreme Court to review a $2 billion verdict in favor of women who claim they developed ovarian cancer from J&J's talc products. The court could say as soon as tomorrow whether it'll get involved. Sweden is asking Denmark to explain why it allegedly helped the U.S. spy on European leaders 7 years ago. Denmark reportedly concluded in a past investigation that the U.S. eavesdropped on leaders in Germany, France, Sweden, and Norway. This is AP News. Violence in Florida. Here's AP correspondent Julie Walker.
A shooting outside a banquet hall in Florida where a concert was taking place leaves 2 people dead and more than 20 others wounded by gunfire early Sunday morning. It happened in northwest Miami-Dade at El Mula. Police Director Freddie Ramirez says an SUV pulled up outside. 3 people got out with assault rifles and handguns as the rap concert was ending.
And began shooting indiscriminately into the crowd.
He says it was not random.
This type of gun violence has to stop. Every weekend it's the same thing. This is targeted. This is definitely not random.
Ramirez also tells WPLG-TV this is the start of what police are expecting to be a violent summer.
It's very disheartening, but it's a trend that you're seeing around the country.
TV personality Marcus Lemonis tweeted a $100,000 reward to capture the suspects. I'm Julie Walker.
And I'm Rita Foley. AP News.
Time for first look at traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. Here's what's happening in your real-time traffic. We've got heavy traffic on Sir Miles Butler Highway from just south of Fire Trail all the way up to Tonic Logan's Darling Highway in the northbound lanes. Glaston Road also looking busy for you, the northbound lane heading towards JFK Drive. And as usual, this hour, Blue Hill Road northbound just north of Soldier Road, especially very heavy traffic heading towards Independence Drive. And pockets along Blue Hill Road further south, especially near the junction with Carmichael Road at this hour. Elsewhere, we've got pockets along the major intersections like Prince Charles Drive, Prince Charles and Fox Hill, Prince Charles and Beatrice Avenue, and Robinson Road and Old Trail Road as you get closer to Marathon Road as well. Marathon Road northbound also busy at this hour, heading towards Wolf Road. Those are your hottest spots right now. That's your real-time traffic and your morning blend traffic alert brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. And time for another check of your weather for this morning, brought by Rev Cable Bahamas. We've got the combination of streaming tropical moisture and a stationary front just north of the extreme northwest Bahamas, along with multi-level troughing that will increase rain chances across portions of the country today. Elsewhere, high pressure will maintain moderate to fresh winds across the central and southeastern islands. Boaters should be alert for possible water spouts in the central southeast Bahamas especially, and beachgoers there should exercise caution due to the risk of rip currents at East Coast beaches. For today, for the northwest Bahamas, partly cloudy to cloudy, very warm and humid with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. For the central and southeastern islands, variable cloudiness, warm and breezy with a few scattered showers and the chance of isolated thunderstorms mainly across the central islands through tonight. Small craft caution remains in effect. For today's temperatures, we're looking at highs getting up to around 88 Fahrenheit, 31 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to 75 Fahrenheit, 24 Celsius. In your extended outlook, troughing will keep rain chances elevated, while high pressure will maintain moderate to occasionally strong winds across the country through most of the week. For Tuesday, tomorrow, look for partly cloudy, warm, and breezy conditions with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. Wednesday, partly cloudy to cloudy, warm, and breezy with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. Some showers may be heavy and thunderstorms strong to severe at times. The tropics looking quiet as we are on the eve of the start of the 2021 Atlantic hurricane season, which begins tomorrow. That's your morning blend weather check brought to you by Rev Cable Bahamas. Basketball fans, you got to sign up or upgrade to Rev Trio and get NBA League Pass absolutely free. Call 601-8992 or email trio@cablebahamas.com to sign up. Rev, you and us together.
Roaming just got easier. Say hello to more with our new Liberty Prime plan. With more minutes, more texts, and more data to do the things you love right here at home and even when you travel. With the all-new Liberty Prime, Liberty Premium, and Liberty Elite, you've got one less worry. Roam again. Alive. Believe in best. Believe in best.
Go cashless with CIBC First Caribbean and enjoy enhanced safety features with our Visa debit and credit cards. Pair them with our mobile app and turn on transaction alerts. You'll receive an alert every time your card is used, so you're always in the know. Visit CIBCFCIB.com for more information. Go cashless with CIBC First Caribbean.
Basketball is back, baby, and so is NBA League Pass, only with Rev Trio. Sign up for Rev Trio today and enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free, along with incredible prizes, including a brand new 50-inch smart TV, NBA gear, and more. With tons of prizes and gear, signing up for Trio is the best on and off-court move this year. Just call 601-8992 or visit www.rev.bs/promotions/trio. Sign up for Rev Trio today and enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free.
Stay a step ahead of technology with certainty and support from Custom Computers. Our know-how team is here to help you zero in on your next big tech purchase, finding solutions that take your productivity to the next level using only the best and most reliable brands. With 4 stores all across Nassau on East Bay, West Bay, Old Fort Bay, and Palmdale, there's no stopping you from stepping up your tech. Reach out to us at 396-1100. Find trust in your tech. Count on Custom Computers.
BTC is elevating the Bahamas with our super-fast fiber internet experience. More people in more places can enjoy the best home connection starting with 100 megabit speeds. With over $6.5 million invested, our network grows stronger each day, delivering the best home internet for all your needs. Call us at 242-225-5282. Visit btcbahamas.com or any retail store to upgrade to the super-fast fiber internet experience on the Bahamas' best fiber network.
Digital banking. Online, RBC banking, online, pay your bills anytime.
RBC Digital Banking is so easy. Granny and Granddad can do it. Sign up for online banking or download the RBC Caribbean app.
With RBC, it's safe and easy. Send your money hassle-free. RBC.
Visit rbc.com/Caribbean/bank at home. RBC Royal Bank. Banking reimagined.
Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Street, has those hard-to-find fasteners for you right now. You can find stainless steel regular hex, carriage bolts, galvanized bolts, threaded rods, nails, self-tap screws, sex bolts, anchor bolts, turnbuckles, masonry tools, hand tools, and weed whacker strings. Check out the rope selection and car body fasteners, too. Special orders are welcome. It's your #1 fastener store. Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Streets. Call 326-1976.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Feeling my way through the darkness, guided by a beating heart. I can't tell where the journey will end, but I know where to start. They tell me I'm too young to understand. They say I'm caught up in a dream. Life will pass me by if I don't open up my eyes. Well, that's fine by me. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself, and I didn't know I was lost. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself, and I didn't
Welcome back to
know
Morning
I
Blend
was
here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. And once again, Dwight Strachan along with Pamela Musgrove here with us this morning. We are talking about the UN visit to the detention center and to shanty towns in Abaco, and then the letter they were greeted with by shantytown residents who were pleading for help from the UN to stop the government from destroying their homes, pardon me. Okay, we've got a tweet here. Somebody's saying that the previous caller before the break is right. Documents were to be required for people returning to Abaco. Immigration was monitoring all ports, but this was relaxed, and the illegals flooded back to plunder and build. Yes, they looted my house every time I left it. Okay, let's see. And then
You think
I
because
hear you, but illegals, really? So
But see, that the thing, if we're not requiring documents to travel across the islands, then that's why you can have problems.
yeah.
Maybe we need to require documents, some kind of document to travel
But it is
from one
required.
island
As
to,
he says,
to
it
the
was
next.
relaxed, but I mean,
Relaxed to what point, though?
yeah.
Do you
And
think
then-
it was because they were closing down the shelters in New Providence and they wanted to get persons out of those shelters? Then they decided to relax to.
Yeah, and they
the
weren't happy in the
rules
shelters.
in order.
People weren't happy in the shelters.
That's what I'm
either.
saying. But
Yeah.
because they were closing them down, you think they decided to relax it so that people would be able to travel freely? Because then they would have been stuck in New Providence without any housing.
Illegals is an interesting word.
Undocumented.
And even that is because are you certain? Are you certain? And are you certain it was those people who were looting your houses, right? You don't know. You're just speculating. You think they are of Haitian descent, perhaps, but does that mean they're not undocumented or that they are undocumented?
But as a country, aren't we obligated to find out who is in our country? And why do we have such a hard time doing that?
Yep.
We should know who resides in our country.
Let's see if we can take that call really quickly before we have to break for the news. Good morning, caller. You're on Morning Blend.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well.
Okay, I have a comment about the migration problem after Dorian. We never really traced who came to New Providence from Abaco. Okay, remember we had about 4 shelters with over 2,000 persons in it. Those numbers decreased and decreased. No control was placed on the movement of those persons in those shelters. They were allowed to come in, sleep, leave, and go at their free will. When the government closed the shelters finally at Pontiana, and I think there were only probably 400 and some persons. So the reality of the situation is those persons moved throughout the Bahamas freely they came from Abaco, and they have integrated into society at their own free will. So we need to go back and trace the numbers to see that the small percentage that has returned to Abaco, and I say small because there are migrant populations also now in other family islands like Eleuthera as well, who we have probably not taken into account because they were allowed free movement.
Okay, we got to break for the news. This is an interesting point. Again, we could have easily gotten a handle on that very easily. But we're back after the news.
Intervened to convince the Bahamian government to spare their homes from demolition. In a letter, displaced victims of Hurricane Dorian on Abaco asked the UN to help stop government's senseless and heartless demolition campaign, claiming they have been targeted and subjected to systematic persecution at the hands of Bahamian authorities who are determined to block their effort to reestablish homes, which some of them have had for almost a decade. That letter was handed to a UN representative who toured the farm with Bahamian officials recently, but the Foreign Affairs Minister insists those demolitions are about the safety of residents, and the UN has vowed to continue working with the Bahamian government to ensure that building codes maintain the dignity of all populations. Giorgio Bain reports.
Foreign Affairs Minister and Member of Parliament for North Abaco, Darren Henfield, led United Nations Resident Coordinator to the Bahamas, Dr. Gary Consell, on a tour of the former mud and farm shanty towns on Saturday. As they entered, members of the Human Rights Bahamas group lined the entrance with placards. Some read, "From Dorian to homeless, where is your heart?" and "No shelters in Abaco, we have nowhere to go." Henfield explained that this is about saving lives.
We emphasize that this is not about migration, this is not about illegality, this is about saving lives. And we didn't have the kind of cooperation that we thought.
Henfield says the devastating impact of Hurricane Dorian led the government to prevent residents from reconstructing homes in those areas.
When Dorian came ashore, it swept most of the containers of debris or even boats from the waterside. Imagine the water coming as high as 24 feet. In some instances, 19 to 20 feet. And just bringing everything south. We don't know how many lives we lost because with an illegal migrant population, you're not going to report to any authorities that I'm here. So you don't know how many lives we lost in here. We fenced it, cordoned it off to prevent rebuilding.
In a statement, Dr. Consell commended the Bahamas government for its management of back-to-back crises, Hurricane Dorian and the global COVID-19 pandemic. Dr. Consell also committed the Office of the UN Resident Coordinator and its country team to support and work alongside the Bahamas government to ensure that all processes to regularize migration, as well as housing and building codes, maintain the health and dignity of all populations in keeping with the Bahamian law, meeting international best practice, recognizing human rights of all persons, and upholding the Bahamas' human rights commitments. Reporting for the Guardian News Network, I'm Giorgio Bain.
Well, a man was found shot to death outside of a home along Washington Street last night. Police say they were called to the scene just after 11 p.m., where residents had reported first hearing gunshots, then venturing outside moments after to find the body of a man in their backyard suffering gunshot wounds. We're told that victim was pronounced dead at the scene. Meantime, 2 men are in custody after being found with nearly $1 million worth of suspected marijuana on their boat over in Exuma. Police say just after 12 noon Sunday, officers on Marine Patrol in the Exuma chain spotted the 2 men on a blue vessel. The captain sped off after seeing police, and that led to a short chase, but we're told the vessel was intercepted and boarded. Police say a search of the cabin uncovered 4 crocus sacks of suspected marijuana. The men were then arrested and the vessel towed to Georgetown, where a further search of the boat revealed an additional 25 crocus sacks containing 872 pounds of drugs, believed to be worth about $872,000. The drugs and suspects were transported to New Providence, where we're told that investigation continues. The Constituencies Commission is close to completing its final report, with Chair Halson Moultrie saying he would like to see the Michael constituency split into at least 2 seats. Jasmine Brown has that.
I would recommend that we return to the previous configuration where Inagua and Miguano was a seat, Arkness, Crooked Island, and Long Key was a seat. They were all connected. And the reason for that is simple. For example, with the configuration that exists today, for the government to cause economic development in the Michael constituency, it has to find investment for 5 islands. Whereas if the government, which is always usually making a political decision, wants to affect seats in terms of trying to retain the government, it is better to spend the money in New Providence, because you would be affecting 24 seats. If you go into Grand Bahama, you would be affecting 5 seats. If you go into Abaco, 2 seats. You see, and then in my car, you have to go into 5 islands for 1 seat.
That's Constituencies Commission Chairman Halson Mutri explaining why he thinks it does not make sense for the Michael area to be represented by 1 member of parliament. Mutri said in order for islands in the south to get some sort of economic stimulus, they need full representation and not political ones.
Over the years, we have always developed in the short term. We've taken the short-term approach, no long-term planning. So most decisions in the Bahamas, regrettably, are political decisions.
Mutri revealed in early April that the Constituencies Commission is considering recommending as many as 5 additional constituencies. He said they had been examining particularly the larger constituencies on New Providence and Grand Bahama with respect to making a decision on whether some of the boundaries in those constituencies needed adjustments.
We got recent statistics from the Parliamentary Registration Department, which is showing that a number of the constituencies continue to increase in numbers in terms of registered voters. The Golden Isles constituency is more than 7,000 voters now approaching the 8,000. While we have about 4 or 5 constituencies in New Providence that are still under 5,000. So that has been part of the challenge based on the constitutional mandate given to the Commission to bring parity in the islands where we can get parity, and that is New Providence, principally Grand Bahama, and Abaco. So the challenge is whether we're going to have to recommend that the constituencies be reconfigured in New Providence to bring about that parity, or whether there should be an increase in the number of seats.
As for when the Commission will next meet,
the Boundaries Commission is scheduled to meet on Monday morning at 8:30. The previous meeting that was scheduled, we weren't able to hold that meeting because several members of the Commission were out of the jurisdiction. We are in the process now of finalizing the report.
the last commission reported in February 2017. Reporting for Guardian News Network, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, House Speaker Halson Mutri has now launched his bid for a second term as the MP for Nassau Village, this time around as an independent candidate. A campaign flyer describes his re-election bid as a blow for democracy and self-determination by Bahamian people. It indicates that he would like to see the current breach of our Westminster model of government resolved, thereby making Cabinet accountable and transparent for the stewardship of the taxpayers' money and people's assets. His frequent riffs with government leaders over the lack of autonomy afforded the legislative branch of government strained ties between he and his former party, the Free National Movement. The F&M has already ratified former Hotel Union leader Nicole Martin as its candidate in the Nassau Village constituency at the next general election. OPLP leader Philip Davis is concerned that marijuana licensing fees as high as $10,000 could price average Bahamians out of the burgeoning industry. Some Rastafarians took issue with those high licensing fees. Davis feels it could be an intentional effort to exclude average Bahamians from achieving ownership in what could be a lucrative new industry.
If it's listed high, we'll argue to have it corrected before they implement it. If they don't, then when we are in, we will revisit it. Exclusion, a tool to exclude, includes pricing it out of putting a price tag that the ordinary person cannot reach. And so if you want to exclude the ordinary Bahamian, you put a price tag that that they can't afford. So yes, pricing is a tool for exclusion. I think the industry has to be preserved for those persons in the industry and to ensure that the ordinary Bahamian gets the maximum economic reward for the opening of that industry.
The proposed Medicinal Cannabis Bill 2021 would establish an authority charged with laying out the framework for the industry in this country, including licensing, cultivation, importation, exportation, processing, transportation, and research of medical cannabis. Davis says he's still reviewing the proposed bill and looks forward to the final document being tabled in Parliament. But Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis has said he does not know when that bill will be tabled, as his government is mainly focused on its new budget right now and is still fine-tuning the components of the marijuana bill to guard against abuse. Stay with us. There's more news after the break.
Buying a home is one of the most important investment decisions you'll ever make. So it's best to insure your home for the full replacement value. If your home is underinsured, the condition of average could apply and reduce the amount you'll receive if you make a claim. Ask your insurance agent about underinsurance and condition of average before you purchase or renew your home insurance policy. For more information, visit www.icb.gov.bs. This message was brought to you by the Insurance Commission of the Bahamas.
Apex Award Signs and Engraving is excited about this summer's graduation. Celebrate your graduates with high-quality custom graduation signs available at great low prices. Need custom printing on apparel, promotional merchandise printing, or photo imaging services? No problem. You can get personalized diploma covers, plaques, plates, albums, clocks, pens, pencils, and so much more. Say congratulations to the class of 2021 with signs, hanging banners, and expressing appreciation on social media. Celebrate 2021 graduates with your own custom yard sign, banner, or poster. From Apex Award Signs and Engraving, number 128 Mount Royal Avenue, or on Moulton Street, a block north of McCarthy's Pharmacy. Open weekdays 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturdays 9 to 1.
How the exercise going?
Not too good.
What happened?
Well, you know, Mr. Junior make me one treadmill.
Make?
You know how he like tinker. Anyhow, he built this treadmill and he hook it up to one of them clothesline, which you could spin. You know the kind what I mean?
You mean the one would look like the upside down umbrella?
That's the one. He figure that since I was working out, I just power up one of them clothesline, so he hook it up direct to the treadmill.
Oh, so whilst you walking, clothes spinning. Makes sense to me.
Makes sense to you, eh? You know how heavy wet clothes is? But anyhow, I right there struggling to get the treadmill going. Slow. She start to go now. The treadmill going and the clothes spinning. This time now I building up speed. I running now. I running. The clothes spinning fast now.
You're flying now.
Yes, and so was the clothes. You would have thought he had enough sense to screw the thing down, eh?
The clothes going?
I see where they lying yet.
So what you gonna do?
Go back to Superwash where I should have gone in the first beginning.
Superwash. They washes your presses and cleans you 24/7.
Privacy and security are two things that cannot be taken for granted these days. If somebody ain't listening in on your phone, they're looking at you through your TV. Finna say he can't protect you from those things, but he can help you protect your house and give you a little privacy while you sit on the body yoke. When it come to closing the yard in, ain't nobody got the fencing with Pin the Gat, from 3-foot galvanized to a 10-foot vinyl coated chain link. That's what you need if you live by the sea or if you're building a tennis court. Pinder also stocks pipe for that fencing in weights ranging from 2 to Schedule 40. Pinder can't protect you from cyberspace, but he got your backyard under lock. Pinder Enterprises on Prince Charles Drive.
Stock and save on your favorites this hurricane season at Super Value and Quality Supermarkets. Aunt Jemima pancake mix, 32-ounce size, $3.99. Rainbow corned beef, 12-ounce can, $1.99. Chicken drumsticks, $1.19 per pound. Hillendale eggs, extra large, 1 dozen, $1.89. Best Value whole kernel corn, 15-ounce can, 85 cents. Super Value Winton open Sundays 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Super Value Cable Beach open Sundays 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Peter the Peanut Peddler bust up in sunrise that day and start hollering, "Airy nuts! Airy nuts!" So Bullock say, when your nuts that airy, just need one injection in your midsection and that over. Peter say, "Rank!" Today I got dark brown, light brown, light brown, and white. See him here. Bella, as usual, Miss Wallace only did hear the last part of our conversation and get confused right up. She say, "We don't do no colorization and no nuts here. This a watch shop. Carry that freshness someplace else." And now Peter the Peanut Peddler, he in charge of peanut peddling for the whole of Montrose Avenue.
Sun Isles Watch and Clock, number 112 Montrose Avenue. Watch and clock sales and repairs, and sometimes peanuts too.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
When I got prostate cancer, my family didn't know if I was going to live. At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, within days, I got an appointment. They presented me with treatment options, and we set up a robotic prostatectomy. When my scans came back, there are no signs of cancer. They don't see you as a number, they see you as a part of the family. I'm going on with my life. It's a real gift.
Call us at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
Welcome back. Since the Easter break, Catholic schools have recorded 4 cases of COVID-19. Catholic Board of Education Director Claudette Roll says they have had their challenges during this third wave, but she claims they worked quickly to contain the most recent cases.
Those 4 cases did not cause us to have to suspend classes for the entire school system or the entire school. So we've only had to have students at that particular grade level and in that particular class quarantine as a result of either being contacts of positive cases or being positive themselves.
Despite this, Roll says the majority of parents were supportive through the third wave and continued sending their children for face-to-face learning. As Catholic school students are currently sitting exams, Roll expressed confidence that the changes brought on by the pandemic won't negatively impact exam results.
In fact, we're still sitting exams, and so we don't have those results yet, but we feel confident that that will not really affect our students because, like I said, what has happened is we did not have to have the entire school out. We only had to have that particular class out for a short period of time. So, and even though they were out, they were still working remotely, virtually, and so we feel that it would not have a negative effect on their performance at the end of this academic year.
That's going to do it for local news. Stay with us. AP News is next.
When does a simple meal become exceptional? You guessed it, when it's made the Fresh Market way. We're talking exquisite cuts of fresh meat, succulent fresh seafood options, the best in fresh produce, and who can forget our exotic spices and herbs? Come on, get ready to shake up your taste buds and let our aisles inspire your inner food genius. Homemade salted caramel ice cream, egg noodle stir fry, time to walk and roll. Slow smoked beef ribs, oh baby! Remember, go fresh and craft delicious with Fresh Market.
Serenity Gated Community. Come and see what all the buzz is about surrounding our pre-construction home packages. Already, we have successfully made it possible for multiple families to realize their dream of home ownership. It's all about value building, folks. Home investment is by far the greatest investment one will ever make, so invest with confidence. Give Desiree Mingo a call at 376-0318 today.
Everything is changing, and your favorite hardware and home improvement store is getting with the program. We Buy You Sell is rolling out its new online shopping feature. If you go to our website, wbusbahamas.com, it's a quick and easy 3-step process. Step 1, browse the gallery and select your item. Step 2, add to cart. And step 3, check out. Go to our website, wbusbahamas.com, to shop with us today.
Give me my pizza right away. Gotta move quick, no time to wait. No long lines inside the place. Little Caesars, I love the taste. Hot and ready. Just come now, you don't have to call, now you don't have to wait. Hot and ready. Large pepperoni, $7.99 every day. Hot and ready. Oh, yeah. Straight out the oven and freshly made. Hot and ready. Little Caesars is hot and ready. Little Caesars is. Get yours now at Oaksfield, Carmichael Road, and now East Street South, Pineapple Plaza. Pizza, pizza.
Don't wait for disaster to strike. This hurricane season, be ready. Protect your home with an affordable and comprehensive home insurance policy from Shield Insurance. You can't control what nature blows your way, but with Shield Insurance, you can rest easy as you ride out the storm. Protect your largest and most valuable investment. Don't take a chance. Put your home in our hands.
Shield Insurance agents and brokers in Nassau. Call 356-7202 or Freeport 352-5945.
At Master Technicians, we have what your family traditions need, starting with industry-best refrigerators, ranges, and ovens. We also carry Whirlpool washer and dryers, dishwashers and freezers, leading KitchenAid countertop appliances, blenders, microwaves, juicers, kettles, and KitchenAid stand mixers. We even do free delivery in New Providence or to the boat of your choice. Whether you're doing the laundry, creating new memories in the kitchen, or spending family time in front of the television, Master Technicians Limited, keeping family traditions alive for more than 50 years.
If you're a business owner, get ready because the digital transformation is here. As a business owner, you now face the choice between innovation and extinction, but you don't have to get left behind. Join the click with Cable Bahamas Business Solutions and transform your office to get the competitive advantage. With innovative solutions like our fixed and mobile services, hosted PBX, Bahamas Cloud, and more, you can redefine your business. For more information on how you can join the click, contact the experts at Business Solutions at cablebahamas.com.
This traffic.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We're streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at MorningBlend969 or Facebook.com/MorningBlend969. Text us 422-4796. And now at 8:21, time for another check of your weather for today. We've got the combination of streaming tropical moisture, a stationary front just north of the extreme northwest Bahamas, along with multi-level troughing. That's going to enhance rain chances across the portions of the country today. Elsewhere, high pressure will maintain moderate to fresh winds across the central and southeast Bahamas. For today, we've got special warnings for boaters to be alert for possible waterspout activity, and beachgoers in the central and southeast Bahamas should exercise caution due to the risk of rip currents at east coast beaches. For today, your forecast calls for partly cloudy to cloudy, very warm and humid conditions with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms through tonight in the northwest Bahamas. For the central and southeastern islands, variable cloudiness, warm and breezy conditions with a few scattered showers and the chance of isolated thunderstorms mainly across the central islands through tonight. Small craft caution remains in effect. High temperatures getting up to around 88 Fahrenheit, 31 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to 75 Fahrenheit, 24 Celsius. In your extended outlook, troughing will keep rain chances elevated, while high pressure will maintain moderate to occasionally strong winds across the country through most of the week. So for Tuesday, tomorrow, look for partly cloudy, warm and breezy conditions with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. Wednesday, partly cloudy to cloudy, warm and breezy with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. Some showers may be heavy and thunderstorms strong to severe at times. Tropics are quiet. Tropical cyclone formation not expected in the next 5 days, but the Atlantic hurricane season officially begins tomorrow, June 1st, and runs through November 30th for 6 whole months. That's your Morning Blend weather check. Time for another check of your traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. And in your real-time traffic this morning, we're seeing some heavy traffic on Bernard Road, mainly westbound this morning, especially near schools in the area. We've got Eastern Road, also heavy traffic from just west of San Souci Road all the way up to almost Johnson Road this morning. That's the westbound lanes. Fox Road northbound also busy, heading towards Prince Charles Drive, and pockets along Prince Charles at the major intersections. We're seeing heavy traffic on Marathon Road northbound and Soldier Road northbound, heading towards the intersection with Bernard Wolf and Village Road. Elsewhere, the usual hot spots, Samara Butler Highway, heavy traffic from Fire Trail up to Tonic Williams Darling Highway, northbound lanes there. Gladstone Road northbound also to JFK Drive, and Blue Hill Road northbound just north of Soldier Road. Building traffic on Carmichael Road eastbound to Blue Hill Road, and westbound on Carmichael heading towards Coral Harbor Road. Also got West Bay Street eastbound heading towards Saunders Beach, and the roundabout with New Providence Highway. You'll be seeing heavy traffic in the eastbound lanes there. Those are your hottest spots, your real-time traffic, and your morning band traffic alert, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank, banking reimagined.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Gotta do it. Go back to the island, boy. Let's go. Wake up early one morning, kiss my mama goodbye. Going back to the island, I say, don't worry, mama, don't cry.
We are back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Pamela Musgrove. We are talking about what's in the news on this Monday morning. We've been talking about the shantytown issue, UN visiting the farm shantytown in Abaco, receiving a letter from residents there, seeking help from the UN against the demolitions the government's planned for the farm shantytown and other shantytowns throughout the country. And this is following a UN visit to the detention center. We got a lot of your text messages. We'll come back to your calls in a bit before we move on to another hot topic in the news this morning. But this text here, I don't know what this was in relation to. I need the texter to expand on this, please. Morning, Dwight. You is one cold human. Okay. This was around 7:42. Pam, do you remember what we were talking about there? What was the issue? I don't know.
I know at one point you had said that if it was difficult to live on one island, then you should move to another island.
Yeah, if you can't make it work, if you can't find housing.
Maybe that's what
Is that really cold? That's some good advice we're going to do there. Just stay there and suffer and build illegally on people's property. That's better than moving to another island that might have better opportunities. That can't be it. That just sounds like common sense, right?
Yeah.
Just this town ain't working out for you. Move to another one.
We do have 700 islands and keys.
My goodness. Okay. Anyway, some of these callers always bring politics into the conversation. Well, that goes without saying. Okay. Family members of illegal immigrants who have citizenship or work permits, they are the problem. They are helping illegal immigrants to break our laws, coming to our country like a thief into the night. Family members of illegal immigrants who have work, I don't understand any part of this. Family members of illegal immigrants who have citizenship or work permits. Which ones are the family members have citizenship or work permits? Okay, so they're bringing their family in. Yep, is that what's happening? Okay. How is it possible for the people to return to Abaco with no housing but yet stay in Abaco until they are able to rebuild a dwelling place? Where did they stay?
Or maybe some of those were already there because, not the entire Abaco was destroyed or affected, largely affected by Dorian. There were certain areas, and so maybe some of those persons stayed on Abaco, didn't leave.
This text here, Desmond Bannister, in the F&M government responsible for the new situation here in Abaco. Those homes were destroyed by Dorian, yet this government, with all its resources here, allowed these people to rebuild. Everybody in Abaco sat back and watched those people rebuild that community. You sure that's what happened there? They sat back and allowed, or were they too busy dealing with their own crises to really pay attention?
No, they were talking about this for a while.
Yeah? Okay.
I heard talks about persons' videos, and they were saying the farm. I didn't know what the farm was prior to, but they were talking about it for a while.
Okay. This one here, I'm a mailboat owner and operator. The previous caller has zero idea what protocol is taken by these companies. All passengers are required to have valid government-issued identification and negative COVID-19 test results, along with a travel visa to gain access. Now, the travel visa is since the pandemic, but even before, I guess you're saying you had to have government ID, which I'm sure we've all heard that before, right? Now, a previous texter was saying that it was relaxed in the weeks after Dorian. I'm not too sure about that, but we've known that for a while. In order to travel, you do need to have some sort of identification. You just can't. Not anymore. These are the 1800s. Just hop on something. I don't even know if you could do that then, but hey. Yeah. Okay. This one says the UN needs to carry their backsides, here we go again, to the U.S. and deal with the treatment of blacks there. Oh, okay. Okay.
UN officials are only doing their jobs. That's their job. What are we going to do to deal with the issues that we have? What measures are we going to put in place to deal with those issues? What measures are being articulated by the government to deal with the issues that we are having?
There's another text here. The majority of people living in Abaco shanty towns were or are illegal or undocumented. Playing on words does not change the fact. Bahamians actually living in Abaco have said so. This is a point the news media choose to ignore. Really? So they consistently appear uninformed and lacking information. Nope, that's not the case at all. The news media is reporting what the officials say, which is that they've done the testing and they've done surveys, they've done whatever it is, not testing, but they've done the surveys, and these people are mainly Bahamians. Now, if you can prove otherwise, it's not about the news media choosing to ignore
I know the government increased work permit to $2,000. $2,000 annually. And in order to get a work permit, you have to go through a lot. You have to make sure that your national insurance is paid up and you have a certificate of good standing. And then you get your report from the Labor Department in order to apply. And the person who is seeking the work permit cannot apply for it. The person whose name will be on the work permit, the employer has to apply for that work permit. So, if that's the process that the average Bahamian has to go through, I really don't understand why the system is just so chaotic. It just has to be a lot of corruption that's going on. And it has to be a situation where you are laxing stuff for this segment and you're not for other persons. So if you're telling me that they went in a shanty town and most of the persons are either Bahamian or on work permit, are all of these persons at the time paying $1,000 to the government for their work, annually for their work permit, and
or
now their employer, but a lot of employers don't pay that, right?
Yeah. And everybody
now,
knows the situation. Everybody knows what's going on, yet they just will turn a blind eye.
Or did you have a work permit 10 years ago and you didn't renew it and you're living here without the right documents? And I think we have to deal with those situations.
Yep. That's it. All right, this text here. Let's be real. We as Bahamians, we are sacrificing renting and trying to do our best, waiting and listening to our leaders. Why in the world should illegal immigrants think they can come in our country and do whatever they want? My God, come on, human rights, get it right. We as Bahamians are suffering our losses too, but there are laws and there's law and order, and we have to abide by it. All right, let's take these calls really quickly. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. All right, let's take the other one. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight. How are you, man?
Doing well.
And good morning to your guests in the wider Bahamas.
Good morning.
But, Dwight, what kind of pirate country is this that we're running, man? Because I don't understand. The U.S. has over 6 million citizens and permanent residents. And everybody is identified. Everybody has, some kind of official document that says who they are, whether they are a permanent resident, whether they are a citizen, or whether they are there temporarily or visitor, whatever. We have.
Well, that's not true.
Maybe
that's not true. There are many people hiding and very terrified of ICE in the U.S. They are not documented and they are living in fear.
If they are hiding extremely well, because if the officials find them over there and they cannot be identified as a U.S. citizen, then they are deported. And nobody can say or do anything to stop that. So why is it that we cannot get this together? We have 400,000, maybe 500,000 people in the Bahamas now, and we cannot control this simple issue. I don't think we want to control this. What is a Bahamian? To me, if you are not born in the Bahamas, a Bahamian to me is a weatherman. A Paul Willie, a Fred Smith, a Louis Georges. They have businesses. They work in the Bahamas. They contribute. You know, they make things happen in the Bahamas as citizens of the Bahamas, not illegal persons who live in the bush and shanty towns and stuff who cannot even speak proper English and stuff. Do you know, Dwight, how many people I know that died in the last 4 or 5 years? Do you know how many people I know died from sickness and different diseases? Because these people are defecating in our water table and urinating and defecating, and all kinds of diseases is rampant through this country, and nobody seems to want to fix this problem. This is a problem that needs to be fixed. Maybe if we make a law that says in order for you to become a parliamentary in our parliament, if you fail as a parliamentary, you get 10 lashes of a cat nine tail and 10 years in prison. You'll see how many of them are going there to fix problems in this country. You understand? They're not going to fix no problems. They're going to make money, and that is the problem with what we have in this country today. Thank you.
Okay. Well. Oh, boy. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well.
Okay, I had called before the break and was talking about the situation with the migrants inside the shelters.
Yes.
If you go back to your report, y'all would have known it was well over 2,000 because I think Candlelight alone had almost 2,000. So those persons had free movement, like I'm saying. And additionally, so they have been able to move throughout this Bahamas at their own free will. So those who went back to Abaco did that of their own free will, not because the government forced the shelters down. You understand? Additionally, I think y'all should do a report into the Red Cross and other NGOs that gave direct assistance to them, irregardless of their immigration status. And I don't think the Red Cross would deny, but they gave minimum of $3,000 to the head of each household who was affected by Dorian. Once you registered through them, minimum, they got them via debit cards to assist them during transition, and then they were also subject to receive an additional $5,000 to assist with rebuilding or housing needs. These things were not controlled or run through our government.
Okay.
These were given directly
how
to
certain are you
them.
about that? That doesn't. I don't know if that sounds right at all.
This is proof, Dwight. Like I tell you,
we can check it out.
contact the Red Cross or talk to migrants or whatever the case may be, and they can tell you.
Okay. All right.
They came to assist the vulnerable among us, and they look at these migrants as the vulnerable among us. And so, therefore, some of those structures they built were not of stolen goods. They were from funds received from NGOs who came here and gave them financial
All right, so when you say came here, you don't mean the Bahamas Red Cross. So you don't
Pardon?
mean other. You know, when you say came here, no, you don't necessarily mean the Bahamas Red Cross. You mean maybe some other, because they're.
I can't hear you. Could you talk a
Perhaps
little
not
louder?
the Bahamas Red Cross. Perhaps maybe
The Bahamas Red Cross,
okay.
through International Red Cross Affiliation,
All right,
gave
we check
aid.
on that. That's a serious.
Once they were in the shelters, they went into the shelters, they spoke with those persons, they registered them, and they were quantified. And therefore, based on their situation, they qualified to receive these financial assistance from the International Red Cross. And they gave them from various reasons for transition, housing. Even the Red Cross themselves built some houses and then awarded to various recipients who they selected for those purposes. You can do an investigation report on it.
Right.
So this is why they are attracting the international attention that they're getting. But follow the numbers, go back and look at how much shelters was open when they first, the 5 days after Dorian, when they migrated residents to New Providence. There were over 3,000 persons in various shelters.
Okay.
When the shelters closed down, there were only about 400 plus left at Ponciano. Where did those people go?
All right. Thank you very much. All right, there's a couple more messages, and then we're going to move on to another topic. This one says, I support Darren Henfield's comments and the government stance on the shantytowns. The bodacious claims by said residents that the destruction of said homes was illegal, but failed to mention that said homes were constructed illegally. The writer of that letter is a stranger to the truth and a danger to the individuals he's representing. I never thought I would see a regular citizen spew more nonsense than a politician. I am disgusted. Well, we don't know who wrote the letter, but okay. This one says, I know one island where they don't go. Okay, more of that. Yep. And I give the government thumbs up for taking control of our country. Are they doing that? Too long, these illegals were getting away with these type things. Well, I'm going to put what you're putting here. They are taking our country for a poppy show. Come on, where in the world could this mess happen? More places than you think, but that's irrelevant, right? It's happening here, and we cannot sustain it, so we have to deal with it. This one says here, let's be honest, no illegals are going to take a survey and say, yes, I'm staying in this shantytown illegally. They would leave until the survey people leave. I work construction, and when they see immigration, they run off the site. This one says, Dwight, again, the work permit holder employer is responsible for providing living accommodations for them, not the government. If living accommodations cannot be provided, the work permit shall be revoked, resulting in deportation. If that's the process that we have to go through to get a work permit, then why are so many of them living in shanty towns?
But that's not the process. They're not. You're not required to show proof where you live in order to get a work permit. I don't know of that process. You're not required at all.
But it really
and maybe
should be.
it needs to be implemented.
Absolutely.
And it should be implemented across the board, even under the heads of agreement. I think that's the challenge that we have. We have certain rules for one side and then certain for the others. And so the average Bahamian has to go through the full process of doing stuff. And then certain people, if you have, let's say, 10 or more persons, you may not be required to do it. But I think if we implement that and it's executed across the board, it may help going forward with persons who come to work in our country without adequate living accommodations, and they resort to living in these deplorable conditions. And while I support the government in cracking down on this, what has been put in place to prevent this or reduce this from happening again? Nothing. There could be shanty towns now being built in other areas they don't know about until they find out, and then they go to the same process. There needs to be policies implemented to prevent this from continuing.
Okay, everybody's coming back, all kinds of people coming back about the Red Cross, saying that was accurate through aid from International Federation of the Red Cross. So the Red Cross here distributed that. Okay. Boy, that's... Okay. Let's move on. There's some interesting stuff coming from the Constituencies Commission. Harrelson Moultrie, the House Speaker, is the chair of that commission, and he's been talking about this for a while, about the need to redraw the boundaries. They're not... some of the constituencies have more than the 5,000 voters. That is the desired amount to have, and quite a few have far under that. And so there needs to be some adjustments made. He's now saying that he believes that MyCal should be 2 seats. Is that because of the numbers? Not necessarily. Take a listen to why in this report from our Jasmine Brown.
I would recommend that we return to the previous configuration where Inagua and Miguano was a seat, Arkness, Crooked Island, and Long Key was a seat. They were all connected. And the reason for that is simple. For example, with the configuration that exists today, for the government to cause economic development in the MyCal constituency, it has to find investment for 5 islands. Whereas if the government, which is always usually making a political decision, wants to affect seats in terms of trying to retain the government, it is better to spend the money in New Providence, because you would be affecting 24 seats. If you go into Grand Bahama, you would be affecting 5 seats. If you go into Abaco 2 seats. You see, and then Michael, you have to go into 5 islands for 1 seat.
That's Constituencies Commission Chairman Halson Moutry explaining why he thinks it does not make sense for the Michael area to be represented by one member of parliament. Moutry said in order for islands in the south to get some sort of economic stimulus, they need full representation and not political ones.
Over the years, we have always developed in the short term. We've taken the short-term approach, no long-term planning. So most decisions in the Bahamas, regrettably, are political decisions.
Moutry revealed in early April that the Constituencies Commission is considering recommending as many as 5 additional constituencies. He said they had been examining particularly the larger constituencies on New Providence and Grand Bahama with respect to making a decision on whether some of the boundaries in those constituencies needed adjustments.
We got recent statistics from the Parliamentary Registration Department, which is showing that a number of the constituencies continue to increase in numbers in terms of registered voters. The Golden Isles constituency is more than 7,000 voters now approaching the 8,000, while we have about 4 or 5 constituencies in New Providence that are still under 5,000. So that has been part of the challenge based on the constitutional mandate given to the Commission to bring parity in the islands where we can get parity, and that is New Providence, principally Grand Bahama, and Abaco. So the challenge is whether we're going to have to recommend that the constituencies be reconfigured in New Providence to bring about that parity, or whether there should be an increase in the number of seats.
As for when the commission will next meet,
the Boundaries Commission is scheduled to meet on Monday morning at 8:30. The previous meeting that was scheduled, we weren't able to hold that meeting because several members of the commission were out of the jurisdiction. We are in the process now of finalizing the report.
the last commission reported in February 2017. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Okay, so you heard that there. Moultrie saying that he's going to recommend that Maikal, Meguana, Inagua, Acklands, Crooked Island, and Long Key all be split into two. Return to some previous elections many decades ago where Inagua and Meguana was one constituency, and Acklands, Crooked Island, and Long Key, that was another.
I remember a political party had as a slogan, "No turning back." Mr. Moultrie said, let's go back, let's go back. Is there legislation requiring the number of constituents that should be in a constituency?
I don't know if there's legislation, but they have a number that they like.
It can't be, because there are some constituencies that have like 9,000.
Well, it's growing now to that.
Well, that's my
amount.
point. So
Yeah.
obviously, there's no legislation, because if there is, then some, as it relates to some constituencies, is being violated.
Well, that's what he's hoping to do, to bring it to parity. And I guess there's been a lot of movement over the past 5 years or so. A lot of people moving into different areas and moving out of some, and that's led to
Yeah,
that.
I think what should happen is it should be in legislation, the size of a constituency, and give a good range so that you factor in population growth down the road. But, you know, every time we talk about the role of a member of parliament, you always hear what it isn't. You never hear what it is. And I think we have to sort that out, because if I look at the role for in this system of governance as a representative for your constituency, you ought to be meeting with your constituents and bringing their concerns to Parliament. So if your constituents have a problem with electricity, outages, you ought to bring those concerns to Parliament. Right? So if that's the role of a member of Parliament, I think it's threefold. I think one, it's your parliamentarian. So you are helping to draft and structure new bills, amend old bills. You are representative of your constituency, and you're also part of an organization, a member of Parliament, right? And if they are functioning in those roles, then I think there should be a set amount of constituents in their constituencies for them to manage and to represent. But the way I see it now, I don't get that. I don't get those concerns being brought. I don't know if they have regular office hours to meet with their constituencies to hear their concerns. So if they're not doing that, then it makes no matter how many persons are in their constituencies if they're not working on that level.
Yeah. But this is the interesting part. So the reason why Moultrie is suggesting that Micah will be 2 seats, not because of the numbers, but because of the number of islands. Not because of the number of voters, the number of islands. It's one of the smallest constituencies in terms of number of voters. But it's 5 islands, and he's saying that's difficult for any one MP to manage. But again, you can't have this double talk there. Which one is it? Is it the number of constituencies, the number of voters that's an issue, or the number of islands? Does it matter how many islands are in it if you still barely have 3,000 voters?
Well, I think what should happen is if you are representing these islands, then government should have it in your budget, a transportation fee, that they will give you a certain amount to travel to. But again, you have to be representing those constituents. And that means if you are representing these islands, right, where you have to travel across waters to get to the various islands, how many times have you been there? If the government is giving you a set budget to travel to these islands, you have to travel and you have to represent them. Yeah. You cannot be that you're getting the money, but then you don't go to your constituents to see their issues and bring those issues before Parliament to help influence legislation.
Let me tell you, in my view, it doesn't matter if it's 7 islands, right? If they had true local government where they could all have their budgets and could make their own decisions independent of the central government, this wouldn't be an issue at all. And this will continue to be a problem if we don't empower the local governments on these islands.
I agree.
Right? This is going to forever be a mess.
But where that change can be made, they're showing no interest in it.
Absolutely not.
The present government is showing no interest in local government, and I don't hear the opposition talking about it.
Definitely not.
So
some of the fringe parties, that's about it.
Yeah, but until we are able, and then they talk about it until they get in power.
Until they get in
and
power.
then they change
That's
it.
right.
Right? So until we're able to effect that change, then we need to work with what we have. And
It won't be that hard. We've got the blueprint already.
Of the MP
with
to
the local
represent their
government for New Providence, the outline that was never once has this government made it public for at least the opinion on the public. Never once did they do that. They have the document. They've had it for a long time now. Never put it out there for people for consultation. Not once.
Because they're not interested in doing it, Dwight. They're
a thing that would
interested in doing
impact
it.
more lives than any marijuana legislation. But that's the focus of the administration, to focus on that. Yes, medicinal marijuana is important, but my goodness, the way that people are seeing this as a panacea for all the problems of the country, whereas empowering the people of the Bahamas, especially in the far-flung islands, to really map out their own destinies, that is on the back burner. Not even on the back burner. It's off the stove entirely. It's been shelved completely. We don't know what's happening with this, not even for consultation.
I think what we don't have a lot of is conversation. So even with the marijuana bill, right, there should have been a white paper placed out there in the public domain so people can have the conversations. Various organizations can have the conversation so that when it comes time for the legislation, then we'll be knowledgeable enough about it and persons can contribute to the debate. I see in the papers, government still fine-tuning marijuana bill. So you put that out there, but you still don't have the framework in place on how this will be governed. And so I think the problem is we lack conversation with these things. It almost seems to be haphazard. We decide to do it because it's the expedient thing at the moment, or it has it connects with a lot of persons, and so we rush to do these things without having the conversation in the public domain to help to get ideas to really craft a bill that will help most people involved.
Yeah. Let's take a break. We'll be back. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Stay with us.
You invest in your children, your home, and your community. But are you investing in your financial future? At CFAO, we specialize in investment management, retirement planning, mutual funds, and private wealth management. Our team of experts never stops helping you plan for tomorrow. Because tomorrow begins today. Call us at 502-7010 to see what our financial advisors can do for you. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations.
BTC is elevating the Bahamas with our super-fast fiber internet experience. More people in more places can enjoy the best home connection starting with 100 megabit speeds. With over $6.5 million invested, our network grows stronger each day, delivering the best home internet for all your needs. Call us at 242-225-5282. Visit btcbahamas.com or any retail store to upgrade to the super-fast fiber internet experience on the Bahamas' best fiber network.
RBC has been growing with the Bahamas for over 110 years with new ways to bank better. We are committed to deepening our relationship with existing clients and forging new ones in the future with new products and services and investment in the community, youth, and education initiatives. We are here to help you grow.
We're here to help you flourish. We're RBC.
RBC Royal Bank. Banking reimagined.
There's only one way to have a better morning. How? Start your mornings the best way with our 2 for $6 breakfast sandwiches at Wendy's. For a limited time, choose any 2 of your favorite breakfast sandwiches, including the fresh Strachan sack muffin, honey buttermilk chicken biscuit, double sausage muffin, or the sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit. Wash it all down with our cold brew shake or coffee. Better mornings always start at Wendy's. Wendy's, different inside and out. Excludes airport locations.
Roaming just got easier. Say hello to more with our new Liberty Prime plan. With more minutes, more texts, and more data to do the things you love right here at home and even when you travel. With the all-new Liberty Prime, Liberty Premium, and Liberty Elite, you've got one less worry. Roam again. Alive. Believe in best.
Believe in best.
Go cashless with CIBC First Caribbean. Pay your credit card via the ABM. Did you know that you can pay your CIBC First Caribbean credit card bill at our in-branch ABMs, even if you don't have an account with us? Yes, you can. Simply visit your nearest in-branch ABM today and follow the prompts. Visit CIBCFCIB.com to learn more today. Go cashless with CIBC First Caribbean.
Imagine. That's where every advancement begins, with an idea that things can be different, better. Now, imagine a world where your entertainment experience was all about you, your style, your show, at your budget. At Rev, that's what we've imagined. To join the conversation and learn more about the future of Rev TV, visit us at rev.bs/imagine.
Meet Jackie. Jackie's a hard worker with a steady income, but she has a personal loan and multiple credit cards to pay off. To keep her account current, Jackie opted for a loan from Fidelity Bank to consolidate her debt into one monthly payment and earn interest on a built-in savings account. Be like Jackie. Call 356-7764 to book a complimentary financial coaching session. Fidelity also offers virtual assistance. Fidelity, we're good for you.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
We are going to the Family Island. Yes, we are going to the Family Island. We got a time is coming, and we got a time is here. Coming big in every island. That's the country of the year. I'll be selling all the mailbox with fly Bahamas. I'll be staying here in Nassau to get away from you. We are going to the Family Island. Family Island. Say we going to the Family Island. I go to every family island just to see what I can see. Why just the tourists be the only ones to enjoy my controls. Wonder why people buy the millions. Just come to visit me. Just take a look around these islands and tell me what you see. We are going to the Family Island. We are going.
All right, we're having a morning of revelations here Lots of stuff being. That's what happens when you talk, right? So people saying the Red Cross thing. Lots of people coming forward and saying, "Yeah, that's true. It's true. It's true." Through the International Red Cross, and so now there's anyway. So it's going to be interesting. We're going to get more from that. We need to get to the bottom of that with the Bahamas Red Cross. What was done exactly, and
But the
how
Red
and
Cross in general does not care about your status.
Right.
Your status in the country. There was a need. There was devastation, and they just sought to assist.
It's a lot of money, though.
Hmm?
It's a lot of money. All right, and then we're also being told that some is it fair for me to say snuck in? Is it they did table finally last month or the month before? Last month. The local government for New Providence report.
I think they tabled the corruption bill as well earlier in their administration,
quietly
right?
snuck in.
It was tabled.
But
it hasn't been passed.
And what, right,
It
what
hasn't
does
been
that
discussed.
mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean,
Yeah.
right? But, I mean, put it out there for the public also, right? So that people can discuss these things
Right.
and give their feedback.
Put it in the form of a white paper,
Right.
have it for public dissemination, and let people have the conversation so that even if you're voted out of office and you
Yeah.
come back another time, you can dust it off and move ahead with it because the conversation would have been out there.
Yeah. Let people have access to it. Make it public. Say, hey, take a look at this. What do you think? Could this work for New Providence? Could it work for the Family Islands? Is this a possibility for Family Island residents to finally chart their own course and to be able to raise funds to do the things they need to do, not the big things, but the things that they can manage on their own without having to come to the central government for every little thing, so they are less dependent on the central government, right?
And as a result of the conversation, you get other ideas.
You'd be surprised.
Yep.
Right? Why don't we function like this? Only when we want to, because we know how to do it. We do it with many other things.
What do we do with it?
Don't ask me for any examples right
No,
now. But we've done it before.
No,
right?
what do we do with it in terms of conversation? Putting it out there for persons to see what the government is thinking about and getting people's ideas in terms of how you will finalize a particular bill or legislation.
Okay, maybe not that well. But definitely some of the government entities do it. All right? Maybe that's
I remember the last one, the white paper was fat when the PLP administration implemented it.
Right.
There was a
Yes.
white paper that was distributed, although I
Okay,
found
so
that
there
the
you go. That's an
examples
example.
inside there was relating to manufacturing countries, right? But there was a white paper out there
Yeah.
for public consultation.
Yeah.
I haven't heard, I don't remember
Okay.
of many.
Well, all right, let's take a break. When we come back, Morning Blend Business, we're going to be talking about something very interesting, a crowdfunding initiative. You need to know about this. Arawak X will give you all the details coming up in just a bit. Stay with us.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
This is the Guardian News Network update on the hour. Hello, everyone. I'm Charlene Ferguson. Residents in the farm shanty town have penned a letter asking the United Nations to intervene and help protect their homes from demolition. They refer to government's program of tearing down unauthorized homes in those unregulated communities as heartless and claim that they have been systematically targeted since Hurricane Dorian destroyed their residences. That letter was handed to a UN official who toured the farm with Bahamian officials, but Foreign Affairs Minister Darren Henfield insists that program of demolishing those unsafe structures is a matter of law and safety for residents. In other news, police are investigating the murder of a man found shot to death at the rear of a home along Washington Street last night. Police say the residents of the home called police after first hearing gunshots, then finding the man's body outside of their home moments later. Meantime, also from the crime beat, 2 men are under arrest after some 872 pounds of suspected marijuana was found aboard their boat in Exuma yesterday. Police say the men led the Marine Patrol on a short chase before they were apprehended and their vessel searched twice. In all, some 29 crocus sacks containing an estimated $872,000 worth of suspected marijuana was uncovered. The drugs and suspects were brought to New Providence for further investigation. And House Speaker Halson Moultrie has decided to contest his Nassau Village seat as an independent. Flyers announcing the launch of his re-election campaign say he intends to strike a blow for democracy with a focus on resolving the current breach of our Westminster model of government, thereby making Cabinet accountable and transparent for their stewardship of the taxpayers' money. That's what's making headlines at this hour. Stay with us. AP Update is next.
Girl, Junior just showed me Bella Boy in his phone.
What you mean? He take picture of that good-for-nothing boy?
Shh, you don't want Bella here. You say that. You know she always say that's my good child.
So what he doing in Junior phone?
Oh, he there because the police looking for him. He on their wanted list.
Wanted persons in your phone now?
Yes, child. And when police want to find anybody quick, after something happen, they can send pictures direct to your phone. Go to Google Play or App Store and search for Crack Crime Bahamas, then pick install and it will go straight to your phone.
There is also a section on missing persons?
Yes, girl. Everybody needs to get this app so police can tell us right away when these people go missing. Just like an alert system.
Yes, it has numbers for Crime Stoppers Bahamas so you can call and nobody knows it's you. Call directly to Miami and give the information without giving your name or anything about you. I tried the other day and when I hear Junior and his boys talking about where they hide those guns, I walk quick round the corner and call that number.
Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands.
Hello, sir. Your credit card bill is due. Hello, sir. It's time for your monthly loan payment. Tired of creditors pounding at your door? Sign up for a debt consolidation loan from Fidelity Bank and consolidate your debt into one low monthly payment. What's more, you will also earn interest on a built-in savings account. The pandemic has curbed many freedoms, but at Fidelity, our focus is to help regain your financial freedom. Visit a branch or speak to Fidelity Bank at 356-7764. COVID safety measures in place at all branches. Fidelity, we're good for you.
This traffic report is brought to you by Shield Insurance and Prudential Loss Adjusters.
Final look at traffic this morning, and we're looking at the Southwest Gateways, which always have the heaviest traffic for the morning commute. Fortunately, though, they're getting help over there this morning at the exit of Somalabala Highway. We've got police in the roundabout there conducting traffic, giving equal access to both Somalabala Highway and also the Tony Spring-Dali east and west sides. Traffic lines on Somalabala Highway are getting up there rather quickly this morning, and that arrangement seems to also have an effect on Gladstone Road because they're also moving out of there pretty quickly this morning as well, getting up there onto JFK. That traffic line gets shorter by the minute. You can see the congestions over there develop and then they dissipate. We've got a familiar look on East Street for the traffic that's heading north from in the deep south as they head into that roundabout intersection at Independence Drive. You've got Independence Drive west lanes heading into the Blue Hill Road roundabout and also Independence Drive east lanes coming into East Street. That's creating a bit of a backup in that area. And we've also still got heavy traffic backed up on the Eastern Road getting out. West Bay Street, kind of slow, especially back there on the bend, West Bend. Traffic heading in and bungling around the West Bend and then coming into Saunders Beach roundabout. But after that, it kind of eases up heading into the city. In the city areas, that's just growing right now, so only slowdowns are very obvious at this point. No major congestions. This National Traffic Report is the service of Dr. Danny Johnson Associates at Foot and Ankle International, who offers the simplest and safest treatment for painful flash feet. They're located at Dean Center, top of the hill at Fort Charlotte. You can call them at 322-5402. That's 322-5402 for more information. With your eye in the sky look at traffic in real time, I'm VANN.
I'm Rita Foley with an AP News Minute. This morning on this Memorial Day, President Biden honors those who gave their lives for this country. He'll lay a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington National Cemetery. Our Shelley Adler reports he honored the fallen heroes yesterday at a service near his home in Delaware.
Biden addressed a crowd at an annual Memorial Day service at Veterans Memorial Park yesterday.
We may have many obligations as a nation. We only have one truly sacred obligation, and that's to equip those we send into harm's way with all they need, and care for them and their families when they return home and when they don't.
The president also asked Americans to forget their differences on a day to remember the fallen.
We're not Democrats or Republicans today. We're Americans.
I'm Shelley Adler.
And I'm Rita Foley.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation.
96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Welcome to Morning Blend Business on this Monday, May 31st, 2021. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan, along with Pamela Musgrove on this Monday morning. And today we are going to be talking about crowdfunding and with Arawak X, the company's CTO, Chief Technical Officer Darcy Ramming Jr. is joining us this morning. Good morning. Great to have you with us.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Morning. Okay.
All right. So we've got a lot of questions, and so we want to learn a lot about this. This sounds very exciting. So we've got questions about what crowdfunding is all about and about Arawak X. Let's begin with that, though. Let's begin with Arawak X. Who is Arawak X? I hope that's the way you do pronounce it. Tell us about that.
So we are a new company, but the players in the company are not new. And so we've been working with the Securities Commission for the past 4 years to get the rules in place. And we're finally licensed by them to perform crowdfunding. So what crowdfunding is a bringing investors and companies together over the internet. So you'll be able to invest in early stage companies that have high growth potential.
Okay, so clarify it. So I have an idea. And I'm interested in the crowdfunding route. So what would I do?
So we don't deal with companies at the idea stage. We deal with companies that already have traction. Okay. So that means they already are operational, or they already are, they have contracts or some form of something that says to people, this is beyond just an idea. There's some real opportunity here. And so at that point, you would come to us on our website or contact us through our network of advisors. And what would happen is we would arrange a meeting, and it's a little bit of a process. So it's not like a loan. A loan, you kind of go to a loan officer and then they give you an interest rate. Equity is a little different because you're inviting investors to be a part of your company. So it's structured differently. So I hope that it's complicated, but we're making it as simple as possible.
Right.
Okay, so I'm somewhat established business, and I have this one. Before I get to that, one of the issues with the Bahamas is our high ranking on the ease of doing business. We are like 119 out of 190 countries. And one of the areas where we are really failing on is getting credit, because a lot of small businesses say that they don't have access to the credit that their business will need to really get off the ground. So I'm off the ground. I have this product. So you and I would go on an interview with your company. What would be the basis for you determining whether to list me on your crowdfunding platform?
So we look for companies with a team that creates magic, and I'm using it as an acronym. So first of all, the team. If it's just you by yourself, that's nice for when you're a small business, but when people are looking to invest in you, they have to know that if something unfortunately happens to you, their investment is not going to go down the drain. So people invest in companies with a team. Now, the magic part is, first, you must have a market. That's the M. The A is that it's got to be accessible. The G is that it has to be looking to use that money for growth of at least 10 times. And that's because companies, investing is risky, especially in companies in an earlier stage. But when you're looking to grow, that makes the risk worth it. The reward and the risk are worth it. Mm-hmm. And then the I stands for innovation. So you have to be doing something innovative. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be doing technology, but it means you have to be doing something different. Why you? Why are you different than everything else that's going on? You can't just be looking to open up another restaurant exactly the same as the restaurant next door. So it has to be some sort of innovation. And lastly, the C stands for corporate governance, so that investors have to know that your company is structured properly so they can get a return, and you're not just going to take their money and go buy a new car with it.
All right. So you mentioned innovation. So are there particular sectors that you're looking at, industries that you are more favorable to?
So no, because the as you guys would know, the accessing credit has been so difficult for all industries in this country that we are just looking for companies that fit that magic criteria, a team that creates magic criteria. So we've had people come in from agribusiness to agri-tech, which is technology and agribusiness combined, to technology companies to tourism companies. So we've seen the whole gambit of companies come and approach us and look to be listed for funding.
Yeah. All right. So you say equity crowdfunding. So is there a model, like generally do you do it the same way every time? You want a certain percentage every time, or does it depend on the type of business or what they're seeking to do?
So we are not, so we don't take a position in the company. So let me clarify that. Okay. We just link companies up with investors. And so depending on the amount of money that a company is trying to raise, and depending on the valuation of the company, will determine what amount of the company has to be exchanged for capital. Now, the whole purpose of equity crowdfunding is it is a round of financing, which means that businesses are always looking for new financing. So even really large companies always need financing. So the idea of crowdfunding is understanding that to make sure that companies, founders maintain control, and investors, obviously their rights are protected.
Okay. Pam?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know it's a mouthful.
We're processing as we go along.
Okay, right. So as a crowdfunding platform, you don't necessarily find investors for the business, but it's the business model and its attraction that will really draw monies from persons on your platform.
So yes, we don't find investors, but we through our platform and our network and all of the investors that have signed up on our platform, they will have access to view your offering. Another thing is that it will allow businesses to, like, for example, get up on the radio and get up on the internet and advertise that they're raising money. Right now, you can't do that without special permission from the Securities Commission for obvious reasons. And so businesses can then...
So how do you protect your reputation? Because this is your platform, and let's say you put a business idea out there, there's a business, and they raise money, but the business does not do well. Will that harm your reputation in that person's invested in this business and they lost their monies?
So the truth with investing, especially, all investing, is that sometimes these companies go bankrupt. They go up in the night. So you can't guarantee that an idea or business will work. No one can. Anyone that says that this is 100% going to work is just doesn't understand the nature of business. I mean, take for example Hertz Rental Car. It went bankrupt over the thing. And how many Bahamians have used Hertz Rental Car when they go to Florida? I mean, I wouldn't have thought that would have gone under. So you can't guarantee a business will work, but what you can guarantee is that it's structured properly so that it has the best chance of success. So that's why we have a vetting process. We don't just let anyone list on our platform, because they have to have that C in magic, that corporate governance. They have to be structured properly. Otherwise, it's just like throwing money down a hole, hoping that you'll get a return.
So how does your platform compare to what the government is doing to the Small Business Development Center? I know they had given $5,000 grants to businesses, and they are supporting businesses. How does what you do compare to that?
So, by the way, they're doing an excellent job. They're part of the ecosystem. There's a distinction that needs to be made between small business and startups. So small businesses are people go into business for a variety of reasons. When you hit a startup, you're looking for growth. You're looking to go after new markets. You need investor funds to grow your business, to go after new customers, to spend money, to hire staff, to do those. That's what startups are about. And a second distinction is we find up to $5 million for companies. So we are not, so that's quite a bit different than $5,000. The SBDC also has loans. They work through different partners to provide loans, whereas we're pure equity, like I say, on the investment side. So a big difference between equity and a loan or debenture or whatever, a debt-based product, is that with a loan, if you usually have to put up some sort of collateral, right? And then they lend you that money, and then if you don't pay back, they take that collateral. Yeah. With equity, the business is the collateral. So if the business fails, then the investment fails. However, that being said, you also now have a right to the profits in the business. So if the business does fantastically well, you have rights to those profits. So that's the big distinction between the two.
All right, we're going to take a break. We have a lot more questions. You're talking with DRC.
I'm sure.
DRC Ramming with Arawak X. This is Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9. Stay with us. We'll be back after these messages.
Okay.
It's a new day. Wake up. It's a new day.
You invest in your children, your home, and your community. But are you investing in your financial future? At CFAL, we specialize in investment management, retirement planning, mutual funds, and private wealth management. Our team of experts never stops helping you plan for tomorrow. Because tomorrow begins today. Call us at 502-7010 to see what our financial advisors can do for you. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations.
Beulah, gal, can you believe this? We are now the patrol queens of the neighborhood. We now large and in charge. So we need to check out what's going on in everybody's yard. What about that gun that we know that Junior and his homeboys just ran out? Can we report that too? Of course we can. But we could be in deep trouble if they find out. We need to report what we see, Beulah. When you call Crime Stoppers, they just answer your call in Miami. So then we can report everything? Guns, where they hiding the drugs, who shoot who part of which gang, or who disturbing the peace with the loud music and the motorcycles. Then our neighborhood will be the best in the Bahamas, and everybody gonna want to come live here. And then our house price will go up, gal. So what we waiting on? What's the number?
If you see something, say something. Let us all pitch in and stop the crime before it's your time. Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands. Or text us through the Crack Crime Bahamas app. Stop the crime before it's your time.
Transferring money just got easier. With the Cash and Go mobile wallet, you can send or receive money from anyone nationally. Simply log in, select the transfer funds option on the home screen, enter the receiver's mobile app number and amount, and click send.
You can do it at Cash and Go. Pay all your bills at Cash and Go. Send your money from Cash and Go. Top up your minutes. Cash and Go. Pay insurance at Cash and Go. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's at Cash and Go.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
It's time for your morning business report brought to you by CFAL. Atlanta is joining the list of companies removing the provision of complimentary testing for staff in favor of their workers becoming fully vaccinated, leaving the financial burden weekly testing in the hands of those staff members who choose not to vaccinate. The resort revealed this in a letter to the staff. The letter, which was seen by Guardian Business, suggests that the vaccination is the best health and safety course for the well-being of the staff and hotel guests. Letter stating, quote, as the country reopens its borders and begins to welcome more and more guests to our shores, our resort must be a safe and healthy environment for you and for those who make our business succeed. The Ministry of Health and those who have cared for us during this pandemic continue to offer free vaccinations to all Bahamians residents. Many of you are already fully vaccinated and are waiting for your second shot. Those team members who are fully vaccinated plus 14 days will no longer have to test weekly. Team members who are fully vaccinated and have provided proof of vaccination to the Health and Safety and Human Resources Division will be exempted from weekly testing, but will still be required to complete the daily screener to gain entry to the property. Atlanta's new policy does not come into effect until September, leaving some time for staff to be fully vaccinated, given that the second shot must be taken 7 weeks or more after the first. Those who have received their second shot and have passed the subsequent 14-day period are considered fully vaccinated. Atlanta is leaving the option in place for staff to continue to benefit of its relationship with Doctors Hospital for testing for those who do not vaccinate, but at their own expense. Read more about it in today's Guardian Business section. The Bahamas imported $2.2 billion worth of goods during 2020 as the COVID-19 pandemic raged on, representing a 40% decline when compared to the $3.3 billion worth of imports in 2019. Exports last year dropped to a value of $334.5 million from the $537.3 million registered in 2019. The data compiled in the Department of Statistics' fourth quarter merchandise trade report for 2020, which showed that the value of commodities imported into the Bahamas in the fourth quarter totaled $645 million, a decrease of 6% when compared to the $685 million in the last quarter of 2019. Carnival Cruise Lines is preparing for July sailings from U.S. ports once again after the U.S. CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, accepted the company's port agreements for the Port of Miami, Port of Galveston, and Port of Port Canaveral, the company revealing in a press statement on Friday. Carnival noted in the statement that these are essential ports for its business and the three where the company will return to guest operations this summer. And having now expanded its merchant offerings to include AML Foods Limited, CEO of mobile wallet provider Canoe, Kimani Braithwaite, saying that the company is making it easier for Bahamians, especially those on government assistance, to conduct safe digital transactions. The company announcing its partnership with AML Foods Limited last week, which now allows customers who download the Canoe app to pay for purchases using their mobile phones. Overseas, the global economic rebound from the pandemic has picked up speed but remains uneven across countries and faces multiple headwinds. Most worrisome, the lack of vaccines in poorer countries, which could lead to new virus variants and more stop-and-go lockdowns. Those were key points in the latest economic outlook published today, by the Paris-based OECD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. The OECD saying that relief and stimulus measures in the more developed world had done much to get the economy through the pandemic recession and back on the path of growth. It forecast global output would rise 5.8%, raising its forecast from 4.8% during the previous outlook in December. This year's predicted rebound follows last year's contraction of 3.5% and will be the fastest since 1973. The U.S. economy was expected to grow 6.9%, upgraded from a previously forecast 6.5%. The OECD cited wide-ranging support from government spending on additional unemployment benefits, financial assistance for local governments, and support for low-income households. In your Market Watch, recapping trading on the BISX from Friday, your market movers, benchmark moving 9,415 shares, closing unchanged at $1.50. Bahamas Waste moving 50, closing unchanged at $6.96. Commonwealth Bank moving 1,000, down 1 cent to $2.89. Galena Holdings moving 4,050, up 1 cent to $5.95. Finco moving 150, unchanged at $8.19. Consolidated Water down 4 cents, closing at $2.46. Emira Incorporated up 2 cents, closing at $11.44. The BISX All Share Index closing at 1,948.37, down 1.22. Recapping the week, the local market ended the week with 16,353 shares crossing the exchange with 14 trades, accumulating a value of $59,820. The BISX All Share Index lost 1.16 points, or 0.06%. Year to date, the index is down 144.09 points, or 6.89%. The week's volume leader was Benchmark Bahamas Limited, moving 9,415 shares in 2 trades with a value of $14,107. Value leader moving 5,050 shares in 3 trades with a value of $30,037. That's your Market Watch, and that is your morning business report brought to you by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations. And tune in tonight for CFAL Talks at 6:30 p.m. right here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are back here with Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Pamela Musgrove. We are talking with DRC Ramming with Arawak X, an equity crowdfunding initiative. He's giving us all the details about it. And DRC, we continue our conversation. So let's talk more about who you've helped so far, the types of companies, and has worked out, how long we're talking about here, and what has changed with those companies, if you can give us those details.
Okay. So we have just received licensing. So we, as you know, with financial services, if you start helping people before you receive licensing, there's a lot of problems with it. But on the private side, so me and the other principal is my father. My father has his MBA in finance from Kellogg University. And myself, I have a robotics degree. And after I came home, I joined them in management consulting. So we were doing a lot of private equity kinds of deals in the past. But when the regulations came and now that the technology has come, we said, hey, why don't we take a shot at this crowdfunding? And so over the past 4 years, we've built a fantastic team. And really the reason why I wanted to come on the show today was we're getting ready to launch our beta. So if you know anything about technology has some kinks when you first roll it out. And so before taking people's investors' money and playing with the real, with things like that, we want to do, we're launching our beta. So arawakx.com, people can go online right now and sign up. And so in the next 2 weeks, we should be start going live. We're still working out some regulatory things, but we can test the KYC AML aspect of as well as the customer interaction aspect of the platform.
So if I'm interested in investing, does the money go directly to the company, or it will go to you and you forward the money on to the company?
So the way that crowdfunding rules work is that companies have to set a minimum amount. So say they want to raise $2 million and their minimum is 1.5. They can't operate. They can't get to the next level without that 1.5.
Right.
We serve as an escrow until they hit that 1.5. If they don't hit the 1.5, all investors get their money back. And that's kind of protects investors from undercapitalized business. Okay. So there's no sense putting, half building a house. That's a waste of money. Okay. That's a waste of investor funds. So the crowdfunding rules kind of protect them from that. But after a raise is successful, then depending on the management team, they would get it. Otherwise, they would have a bursary type function.
So how do you get paid?
So we make money off of when the raise is successful, then we get fees from the business. Okay. So we get a financing cost.
Okay. And if they don't raise sufficient monies, you don't get paid for that.
That's correct. Outside of some legal work, some initial legal fees from the business. Okay. But the investor, there's no investor costs. For the investor, all they receive is their shares for their investment.
So from your point of view, who would this be for? What type of companies, who do you think would be the best type of company to benefit from this?
So there's a space right now in that there's no financing for, and that's for about $250,000 to about $5 million. It's too risky for institutional investors to really touch. They're investing pension fund money. They can't really risk that on super innovative companies. But there's that gap where a company has to grow larger than about the $5 to $10 million worth before an institutional investor would work at it. But then there are very few people that have that amount of collateral. So they can't go to a traditional lending institution. And then the truth also is that the traditional banks have stopped lending to businesses. So you have this, like I say, about $250,000 to about $5 million range where you're basically existing in a black hole. And if you're a really good university or know the right people, then you're just kind of out of luck. And, businesses can't grow like that. As we all know, ideas, oftentimes the people with great ideas don't have the money, and the people with money don't have any ideas. So our platform, what it seeks to do is bring the two together over a regulated platform.
Yep. So the companies that you're going to be looking at to provide the funding, these are all going to be local companies? Are there any restrictions on that?
We're starting with local companies, but we've made it very clear that we're a fintech company. I am a millennial, and I have this is the longest time I've ever been in the Bahamas because of the lockdowns.
Oh my.
So we have intentions to be pan-Caribbean.
Wow. Okay. All right. So again, give us the information, how people can get in contact with you, how to get the ball rolling if they are interested in this, if they meet the requirements, they're that type of company, and they're looking to secure additional funding. What do they need to do? What's the first step?
So if you're a company or an investor, you can go to arawakx.com. We're accepting people to sign up. Once you fill out your information on the website, we will then invite you to participate in the beta. And so that means that people on the AML side of the business will be contacting you. And then our planned launch date is June or July 1st. So then we'll go live with real companies and real things. Another thing that we've been doing for companies is we've built up a wide investor network of people that have pledged to put money in. Right now we're at about $10 million, but it's growing day by day. Like I said, we just received licensing not a month ago.
Yeah. And how long do you anticipate the process would take generally?
For a business?
Yeah.
For a business, it takes about 3 to 6 months, depending on what state they're in when we reach them. But we'll tell them after the first week and onboard them. Okay. And then for an investor, it's just about signing up and visiting one of our, we're about to launch some community investor centers as well, so that if people have questions and want to speak to a real person, they can do that. And all that information is available on the website, arawakx.com.
Right. Yeah. And what type of investors do you think would be open to this?
So we have two groups of investors. So we have the investors that are institutional accredited by nature, putting in above $25,000. But the more interesting part for us, because we're big on financial inclusion, is we have the technology to bring the costs down so that the barrier to entry for investing can be as low as $25.
Oh wow!
So I'm a big techie. So this is a fintech firm. We're using technology to solve a lot of the legacy problems associated with other investment opportunities.
All right. So explain that part. So if I do have that amount of money, $25, $30 to put in, how will I really benefit from this? How would that work?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're going to benefit at just the same. Now, you're not going to, obviously, someone who puts in $1 million is going to have more returns, but you will have returns at the exact same level as they do. So you do benefit. And $25 may not sound like a lot of money, but if you're doing $25 a week out of your paycheck, that adds up really quickly, especially if the potential returns can be 10 times, et cetera.
Is there a time frame for achieving the minimum amount? Because you mentioned $25 per week. So let's say someone is interested in a particular investment on your platform and they are only able to pay in $25. Do you give the investor or the business a certain time frame with which to achieve, let's say, that $1.5 million that you said was the minimum amount?
Yes. So they have about a 60 to 90-day window.
Okay.
Of which it can be open. But if they hit their maximum, then it closes. So if they raise the $2 million in that same example that we spoke about earlier, and that's their maximum amount, then it closes. And that's just how it is. And you got to wait until it goes on secondary market if you want to participate.
Okay. So somebody giving $25 a month, and this issue is closed in 90. Well, they have 90 days. Could only really give $75 to this particular investment.
Okay. Then they would have to pick another one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So one more time, tell us how we can get more information, and if you're interested in either being an investor or getting some funding for a business, what you need to do. One more time.
Okay. So arawakx.com. That's it.
That's it. There you go. And DRC Jr., thank you so much for talking with us this morning. It's been a pleasure. Learning a lot this morning, and this is very exciting opportunities for everyone, and we appreciate it. Keep us posted. Love to hear from you when the companies start coming through and the investors start coming through. Want to hear more about how things are going.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me, and you all have a good day.
All right. Thank you very much. We're going to take a break and be back to wrap things up. This is Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9. Stay with us.
You invest in your children, your home, and your community. But are you investing in your financial future? At CFAL, we specialize in investment management, retirement planning, mutual funds, and private wealth management. Our team of experts never stops helping you plan for tomorrow. Because tomorrow begins today. Call us at 502-7010 to see what our financial advisors can do for you. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations.
My money just got easier. With the Cash and Go mobile wallet, you can send or receive money from anyone nationally. Simply log in, select the transfer funds option on the home screen, enter the receiver's mobile app number and amount, and click send.
You can do it at Cash and Go. Pay all your bills at Cash and Go. Send your money from Cash and Go. Top up your minutes. Cash and Go. Pay insurance at Cash and Go. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's at Cash and Go.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Your final look at weather for this morning brought to you by Cash and Go. Here's what's happening. We've got the combination of streaming tropical moisture, a stationary front just north of the extreme northwest Bahamas, along with multi-level troughing that will increase rain chances across portions of the country today. Elsewhere, high pressure will maintain moderate to fresh winds across the central and southeast Bahamas. Boaters should be alert for possible water spot activity, and beachgoers in the central and southeastern islands should exercise caution of rip currents at East Coast beaches. For today, your forecast for the northwest Bahamas, partly cloudy to cloudy, very warm and humid, with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms through tonight. Small craft operators should be alert for gusty winds and higher seas in or near showers or thunderstorms across all areas. For the central and southeast Bahamas, variable cloudiness, warm and breezy with a few scattered showers and a chance of isolated thunderstorms mainly across the central islands through tonight. Small craft caution remains in effect. High temperatures getting up to around 88 Fahrenheit, 31 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 75 Fahrenheit, 24 Celsius. We're already at 81 here in Nassau under partly cloudy skies. In your extended outlook, troughing will keep rain chances elevated while high pressure maintains moderate to occasionally strong winds across the country. So, for tomorrow, Tuesday, look for partly cloudy, warm, and breezy conditions with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. Cloudy to cloudy, warm, and breezy with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. Some showers may be heavy and thunderstorms strong to severe at times. The tropics are quiet. Tropical cyclone formation not expected during the next 5 days. And the Atlantic hurricane season officially starts tomorrow, June 1st, running through November 30th. That's your morning blend weather check brought to you by Cash and Go. Own a business? Become a merchant and join hundreds of business owners who are getting paid in the Cash and Go mobile wallet. Grow your business with Cash and Go.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
And we are back with Morning Blend Business here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan with Pamela Musgrove. We had planned earlier, Pam, we were supposed to have representatives from the opposition, official opposition, on to talk about the budget, but we've postponed that. They're going to join us in a few days after, it is a preliminary look, right? Because we just get a snapshot with the budget communication, but so people are looking for the teeth in this, and more than likely, as usually is the case, we learn a lot more about what's planned during the debate, which we'll start off a little bit later, right? So we'll see. But folks are going to look out for what's what's questionable, what's glaring, what is not making sense right now, and so I guess people need some more time for that. But I know that you've been doing that as well.
Looking through,
yeah. Anything interesting catching your eye there?
I just think we have some structure problems that we are not addressing. And I think we're trying to gloss over. Just like we were talking earlier, we don't seem to be good at solving problems. We kick the can down the road, and we have a lot of empty rhetoric as it relates to the problems that we're having, but we're not solving it. And I heard about, I heard the acting financial secretary and the Minister of State talk about how they're going to get the debt under control. But I think that's a structural issue. And they're not going to get it under control, not doing the same things that we have been doing in the past and continuing to do. So I went and I looked at numbers. And I like to look at numbers because I want to prove a point based on the record. And I've said this before, like prior to 2007, the Bahamas was managed conservatively. Its public finances was conservatively managed because for a country like the Bahamas, we were told that our debt to equity ratio, our debt to GDP ratio should not exceed 40%. And we did a good job of maintaining that. We didn't do a lot in terms of capital infrastructure, improving the plant called the Bahamas, but we kept that conservatively managed. And what happened was after the Great Recession in 2008, during the Ingram administration, that was the first time in the history of the Bahamas that we had borrowed so much money because our revenue fell short. And so in order to make up, we had to borrow. And so the Ingram administration over that 5-year period from the second quarter of 2007 to 2012, the second quarter, they borrowed net $1.5 billion. And they took our foreign currency debt to from about 200 and some million to about 800 and some million, right? And then when the Christie administration came in, they talked about how the Ingram administration was spending like a drunken sailor and they were borrowing all this money and, it's a big problem. The Christie administration net borrowing for their 5-year term was $2.6 billion. And foreign currency portion of the debt increased slightly. So it went from like about 20% of GDP to about 25% of GDP. Right. At the end of December of last year, the Ingram administration, net borrowing is $2.8 billion. And our foreign currency debt went from about $2+ billion, which is about 25% of GDP, to now 42% of GDP. So that's structural.
Yeah.
That's a little blip.
Right.
That is structural.
Not a temporary
We are
thing.
not
This is
able
more than a decade of
to generate sufficient revenue for the spending that we carry out. And a lot of the spending is wasted. It's wasteful spending. It's not spending that will generate growth, productivity to earn more revenue. And you see it, right? When you spend on these, so if you look at it, capital expenditure has always been reducing. Or even up to this point, they've spent less on capital expenditure. So while it may seem good, like successive administration from the Ingram to the Christie and now they have these jobs program, right? So it looks good that you are providing jobs for Bahamians, but it's just a cost because the taxpayers have to come around and pay the government in order for them to pay for the jobs program. So there's not enough being done within the economy to stimulate that growth.
Right.
Energy reform, right? They're looking to tax us to get energy reform. Healthcare reform. They're looking to tax to get, this well that they keep going to is dried up.
Absolutely.
I listen to the UK. They're saying that in the next year or 2 years or so, they're going to tax corporation. They're going to increase the tax rate for corporation to 25%. The U.S., to fund their big spending, they're going to increase the corporate tax rate from 21% to 28%. They're even starting a global tax rate now. They want to charge all countries because they don't want to have that competition. Money's moving, a company's moving from their country to go to another country because the tax rate is lower. But we are not talking about these things. We have companies that operate in the Bahamas that pay VAT, but we give them VAT rebate. They pay VAT on paper. They pay VAT on whatever they pay VAT on, we give it back to them. We are not finding ways to tax persons who come to our country and become very prosperous.
Yeah.
And so
you might need. I wonder if people are aware of that.
Yeah.
Right. The diplomats, the embassies, right? They don't have to, and that's some revenue that we're
But
losing
I think if you are operating in the country, you should pay taxes to help us
there. Yeah.
to build this country. And then you have a lot of developments resort with these heads of agreement. They brag about how they have these resorts. A lot of them are condominiums that they sell for millions of dollars. And so what they do is they tack on some hotel rooms. So once you get the right amount of hotel rooms, then you're under the Hotel Encouragement Act and you don't pay duty, you don't pay VAT for some jobs. And when you're finished with the construction jobs, then you don't really need a lot of people to work there because a lot of those are condos that people buy and have a second homes. Right. So what I'm saying is that this is not structural. This has been going. It's a nice upward trend. 1.5 billion, 2.6 billion, only 3.5 years, 2.8 billion.
Yeah. It is structural, not a temporary blip.
Yes, not temporary.
Right. This
it
is how
structural.
we have.
Yes.
And we are getting deeper and deeper
we have
into this
set ourselves up for failure.
Yes.
And until we stop and really blow up this model and start a new model, then we just waiting for someone to take us over.
A very slow quicksand, but it is swallowing us all up.
Yeah.
And it's going to take a lot of guts, and that's what we don't see. That will to change things is going to rock the boat and upset a lot of people, but it's going to be for the greater good. Do we have governments or potential governments that see this, that this is
I
important?
don't hear the conversation on that level. I just see us, still trying to find ways to just go to that well that's dry. And then we boast about tourism being 60% of the economy. Well, that's the area where there's minimum wage. The base salary is minimum wage. We cannot expect, if we continue with these resort-type developments that will be able to sustain us, because people are just making minimum wage, and we know the cost of living is very high in this country.
Yeah. Yep. Let's hear what you have to say, folks. Up 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us. 422-4796. It's going to be interesting to hear the debate, to hear the mountains are going to be made out of what is a molehill, and the vice versa. The things that should be really discussed going to be downplayed so much. It is very unfortunate. But oh boy, let's hear what you have to say. Good morning, caller. Are you there?
Yes, good morning, Dwight. Good morning, Pam.
Good morning.
This is where I would aim to the choir till I'm singing up the song and pass the offering plate. You're absolutely correct as far as our economy. We're not having the real conversation concerning taxation. We brag about being a no-tax jurisdiction, and we should have already moved to a low-tax jurisdiction. But the biggest problem we have is that we're not building people. We're depending on taxing salaries for the government revenue when we should actually be moving to what is called an ownership regime. COVID provides a unique opportunity for us to do what we had earlier with the crowdfunding, not just locally but globally, as well as some other different things that COVID has accelerated. It gives us a unique opportunity to move to an ownership society as opposed to depending on foreign direct ownership. And we should actually be looking towards foreign direct investments, which is an inflow of capital. But we have foreign direct investors coming in, and they become the owners of our economy. But when you look at this so-called budget, we're not seeing a methodology for building a new economy anywhere in it. And what you're seeing is lipstick and makeup for the pig. No matter what it is, it's still a pig. And so I think this is a unique opportunity for us and for you talk show hosts to move the conversation to actually economic development and empowerment rather than the sound bite that they have us keep chasing every day. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you very much. Well, it's up to us. All right. And I think we have to all agree, too, that only a few people are saying it, and they're as heretics, basically, right? When you call it out and say this can't continue, this system is unsustainable.
And the only way to reduce the deficit is to increase revenue or reduce spending. You're not going to reduce spending because the OECD and the IMF are encouraging governments to continue to spend to support the economy. So the only other way is to increase revenues.
Yeah. This text here as we go, this one says, Pam is right. The members of parliament don't understand finance and are unable to debate and find real solutions for our economic challenges. That could be it. That could be it. But also, I think, it goes back to what was promised during the previous campaign, right? And how we have campaign finance reform. But that's going to be a big challenge because a lot of this, the changes that we're talking about, are going to upset a lot of the people who are donating a lot of the money for the campaigns, right? It's going to upset their way of life. And that's going to be a big challenge.
I think the two major parties have just played this game. When one party's in power, you blame that one for the debt, and you would think that they would come in and make it better. Put those numbers to show you and the Bahamas that they're all the same.
Yeah.
And all they're doing is kicking the can down the road, but both of the major parties are contributing to this high level of debt and the level of economy that we have.
Yeah. Pamela Musgrove, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here this morning. And I'll see you again next week. I'll be back tomorrow morning with more Morning Blend business and Morning Blend right here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Everybody have a great day. Stay tuned for On the Clock with Aaron Green coming up next.
Wake up, it's a new day.